All right. All right. My apologies, fault. I'm an idiot. Now we're really live.
Okay, perfect.
We probably lost a few people that were waiting in that other chat.
Yeah, no, they'll make it back. They'll be alright.
Yeah. My bad. You can tell I haven't been here for a bit.
Yes,
So,
sir.
with us today on this episode of The View is a gentleman that is fondly known in the detractor community. Some might say, a gentleman formerly known as low tier vault rep, most recently known as Capitrol, and most recently rechristened as Vault 14. And we've been talking about doing this for a while. We've been talking about doing this for a couple of channels, actually, and it's honestly my pleasure to finally get to talk to you, buddy. It truly
Yeah,
is.
no, I'm definitely glad to be on it. On the podcast, I've definitely tuned into a lot of episodes, and I know it's always a laugh and a half seeing people on here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've seen you, and I always appreciate you chiming in. Also, apologies to everyone. By the way, I was going to make a joke that the reason we stopped is because we ran out of a budget, and now YouTube demonetized us. So I guess it's not a joke anymore. But that'll come back. That'll come back, maybe. But Vault, I wanted to talk to you, my friend, because you always interested me. No homo, but I remember, when you were doing the old school videos on the old low tier vault rep channel. I remember when you stopped doing them and you released a video, uh, that was a bit of a shot at some weirdo in Lancaster where you said, this is how a man lives, and you showed off your place and you showed off how you're living and all. And for whatever reason, whenever I saw that, it was a great video, by the way. When I saw that, though, I just told myself in my head canon, you know what? I suspect that this gentleman is British Royal Air Force, and I had no real reason to. I just got that impression from that video, and if you can't answer that, please don't. Obviously, don't compromise anything about your identity. But I'm just curious: was that close to the mark? That impression?
It, you're pretty close, but not right on. So, I'm a military brat. My father was British Royal Marines, and I was raised by him. Um, so he instilled a lot of their ideology into me as a child. So he was British Royal Marines. My brother's Air Force. My sister's Air Force. I never
Oh,
joined because I have problems with authority. But yeah, no, I do have a lot of family who are in the military. Yeah, my brother and sister currently. Oh, actually, my brother just got out last year. My sister's in the Air Force right now. So yeah, I do have family in the military.
God bless him. God bless him. Damn. Well, I can't. I can tell what you mean about having trouble with authority. You're definitely not the type who would let someone else tell you what to do, and I could definitely see why that would dissuade you. But God bless him, man. Having the whole family in the military like that must be stressful, especially in times like this when it looks like there's a possibility of World War III at any moment.
Yeah. So since my brother got out last year, he's still technically in for another 4 years after um, his discharge. So
Hmm.
he's been, on pins and needles because he's just waiting for that call for them to say, hey, get your ass to Ukraine and defend these dickheads. So he's been on pins and needles with that. My sister's, she works in the pharmacy, so she's pretty set. She doesn't really have to do anything. He repaired the jets in the Air Force, so he's pretty integral to the success if they were to get into combat. So he's waiting for that callback.
God bless him, man. God bless him, man. May I be again? Don't answer anything you don't feel comfortable, please. I'm not trying to dox you here. I know plenty of people would love to get your dox, but may I ask what type of line of work you are in yourself?
I'm in the it's different lines. So I work for Berkshire Hathaway, the company. So I work for the insurance division. So I'm in that kind of work. It's pretty boring office stuff. Nothing interesting, but they pay me. You know how that goes.
Very impressive stuff. I wanted to pull up that video that I was talking about. You know, the one where you did like, "This is how a man lives." Because I remember.
Oh, yeah. I love that video. Because you know what's funny about that video? It was a video I had in mind for a long time, ever since I like started making the joke about his bed being on the floor.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to show this man that I have a bed frame eventually. So that is one of my favorite videos that I made.
And I loved it. I loved it. You know what else I loved about it? You had my memory might be failing me, but I seem to recall you having a very well loved dog, and I really respected that.
Yeah, Sparky, he's 7 now. He's an Australian Shepherd Labrador Retriever mix.
God bless. That must be a handful.
Oh yeah, he's a ball energy.
May I ask about how old you are, or is that too doxy?
No, I'm 26 right now. I'll be 27 on Saturday.
Young man.
Once May 27th. Yeah.
Young man, and you're already living well, living on your own. Got your own house out there in the UK, which isn't easy, by the way. For those of you that don't know, the UK is expensive as shit to own a house. And like, I watch videos of you guys sometimes, and I see people buying the real dog shit houses just to have something for like 400k pounds, and it blows me away.
Oh yeah. No, I've seen people waste money on some of these houses out here. I'm like, you might as well rent some of these because these places are terrible. They spend a lot of money on bad places.
I see a lot of people asking about an archive of your old channel. You don't have an official archive, just to be clear, of the old.
I don't have an archive, but I know someone who does. Because they reached out to me, and they sent me a link to it. Because they asked me, hey, do you plan to re-upload all of your detractor content? And I was pretty much done at that point, so I said no. And he said, well, I have an archive of it. If you ever plan on re-uploading it, here is the link to all of your old content. So I can actually post it in chat. Let me pull up the link.
Perfect. Thank you, Sacco, for letting me know Vault's audio was a little low. I seem to always make that mistake on this. I've raised his volume now. Is it good for you now, Sacco? So there are apartments in central London that go for more than 4 million plus pounds. Yeah, see, that's just like New York City. Much better now? Yeah, thank you. You know, this unprofessional dog shit stream of ours. As a...
Yeah.
What was that? You said, holy shit, 4 million pounds? Yeah. You excited for this collab? The two superpowers meeting up, indeed. Well, yeah, Mr. Silverring, there is no super chatting. We've been destroyed by Susan, but it is what it is.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. I'm just listen, man. I'm just glad I'm not banned yet.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they'll allow you to reapply. Did they give you the option to reapply, or did they just never say anything about it?
Yeah. The funny thing is, it's the exact same thing that happened about a year ago. They decided that too much of my channel was other people's content, and I had to submit that 5-minute video appeal explaining how it's not, and they accepted that and gave it back. And somehow, about 14 months later, they decided again to demonetize me for the exact same reason, even though, you know, now I don't really upload crap like that to this channel. So,
Right.
I don't know, it really does go to show you that, I mean, you know far better than I just how stupid YouTube is, just how impersonal their staff is, how unhelpful.
yeah.
Like, there's no reason you should have been banned, man. You should never have been banned.
Yeah, no, I reached out, and I went through like all the change and spoke to someone about it. And I actually got a human being, like, and spoke to a human being. And they directly told me exactly what the problem was, and why they weren't giving it back. And I'm like, well, at least I know. So can't be too upset when I have information.
Yeah, I'm glad about that, too. Well, from an outsider looking in, what happened, at least, you know, to us outsiders looking in, it looked like what happened was that creepy reading made a video about some weirdo, you know, like 7 streamers who should stop. And just one of them happened to be a massive egotistical narcissist that you used to make fun of. And they pulled up, you know, they pulled up that video, or not that video, they pulled up one of many videos wherein you said, I will make it to Hollywood before you do, Dale. And Dale, obviously, desperate for that attention, he watched the video. He only the portion concerning him, of course, and he saw
Right.
heard your voice, and got pissed. And it looked to us like he basically had the covenant or his covenant, excuse me, just dogpile your channel, just dogpile him with reports, and somehow it wound up working. Is that like your accurate understanding of it as well?
So that's pretty close to what happened. So what happened was, I stopped making detractor content as low tier vault rep, and then I was done for a year. And then a mod that I had, I said, "Hey, I want to make detractor content. Can I use your channel?" And I said, "You're sure." And he said, "Will you help me?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, we'll do it together." So we were collaborating at that point, and it rebranded to the Capital Wasteland. And I didn't want to, be fully involved and having my voice in it and everything. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I'm done with it. So while he was doing that and we were working together on that, he had full access to the channel. Dale did a copyright claim on a bunch of content after Creepy made his video, and Creepy's great. I've
Yeah.
spoken to Creepy. Creepy reached out to me directly when he was making that video and asked to use that voice clip, and I said anything you want, like any clip you can find of mine, use it. I don't care. So after that, Dale blew up and was upset about it, and did a bunch of copyright claims. And then my mod, who was working on the channel with me, thought it would be funny to do a counterclaim with Dale's mother's information.
Oh.
Yeah, because he's been doxxed multiple
Oh
times.
yeah.
So he put in all of his mother's, like her name and her information, and then Dale's address as the counterclaim. And YouTube, I guess, recognized that. Wait, this is the guy who claimed the video's home address. How did he get this address? There's no way they live in the same house. So they deleted the channel and said illegal counterclaim put in for false information, and that's what upset them. And since both channels were still linked through Google AdSense, it took down the my channel where I was just doing my own commentary and nonsense on that at the same time. So I was like, "Well, great job, buddy. You fucked us." So I reached out to them and I said, "Hey, you can keep the troll channel down, whatever. My channel was unrelated. I can unlink it, whatever, And they said no, since they were still linked at the time of deletion. The only way you can get the other one back is if the other one is reinstated. So I said, okay, well, that's never going to happen because it was a violation of terms of service. There's no way around it. So it is what it is.
Got you. Was Capital Wasteland, was it a brand channel of the original channel, or were they like, did they share the same email, or was it just the AdSense that screwed you over?
No, yeah, it was the exact same. The original channel, like my Vault channel, or the low tier Vault rep channel.
Yeah,
Uh,
like how you can create a brand channel and it's like a sub channel of your main channel. Is that how they were linked, or was it just the AdSense?
yeah, essentially, because when I had first started making detractor content, my main channel was low tier Vault rep, and then I had made the talking about his 10K video, breaking down how that was done. Then I had made he's a simp part 1 and he's a simp part 2. And then I got on his radar after making those videos, and he copyright claimed 2 of those videos, which, 3 strikes you're out. So then I made Low Tier Vault Rep Special, which was the second channel where I would upload content there while I was waiting for the copyright strikes to expire on the main channel. So I linked them at that time. But then, like a year later when I was done, my main channel became the channel where I review movies and all that. And then Low Tier Vault Rep Special was the troll channel by itself. But I never unlinked them because I didn't think about it, So they were still linked, through branding and everything. So that's why they came down at the same time.
Got you.
I see Max in the chat. Hey, how's it going, Max?
Yeah, Max is a big fan of you. Also, shout outs to many big fans of you in here. You got Hood Hustler and Nukenator. A lot of people clamoring for you to come back and what have you. But I say, as you are right now, do what makes you happy, my friend. I'm just glad to see you doing what makes you happy. Back to succeeding.
Absolutely.
Like, don't let anyone
I think I
pressure
kind of fucked up by shouting out Max, though. Now some large gentleman might come after me next.
I was not aware that you were aware of that situation whatsoever. I was not even going to mention it because I didn't want to annoy you with the drama, man.
No, I was in the stream where he was talking to KingSlyTee, and that was a laugh and a half, and I was just like, "What is this fight? What is this argument?"
Such a non-issue too. Such a non-issue. Like, what blows me away, man, is that so. Just as an example, like he's so angry about the existence of Maximus, right? Because Maximus made one YouTube short about him, and you got, and as an example of his inability to ignore shit, I have to compare it to this weirdo channel that's dedicated to me that I never talk about. Like I couldn't give a fuck less who. It's the same channel that uploaded the video that kind of got KingSlyTee's attention.
Okay.
Yeah, this weirdo channel that this, and now it's subscribed to a good old demigod himself. That's hilarious. But this channel drops all sorts of nonsense, claiming that I got arrested for murder and things of that nature. That blows me away. And they get 2K views or so doing it, and it's like, if I can ignore that, I think you can ignore Maximus doing stupidity about you on his channel. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's such a non-issue, and I also do think that as grown men, not to talk about that situation in particular, but I don't know if you agree with this, my friend, but in general, I think if anyone ever gives you an ultimatum to choose between one person and themselves, choose against that person giving you an ultimatum because the other guy didn't disrespect you by giving you an ultimatum.
Right. Yeah, no, that's absurd. To hand out ultimatums for in Discord beefs. Like, I don't know you, mate. I don't know. It's not that serious.
God bless. And God bless that gentleman. God bless him. I hope he does well in life. All the best to him.
Yeah. I hope he gets more golf hats. I know the Goodwill's having a sale.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Silvering. I forgot we had tips available. He says, shout out to Max for making this all happen. I don't want to rotund. God damn. You guys really don't have to. You guys don't have to take those shots. God bless that guy. And there are definitely some fake accounts that keep jumping in the stream chat to be like, yo, I'm a long time fan of you, Sallow, even though he's never been here before. And it's like, and just like you, I want to kill. It's your man. Well, it's like, shut up. I know you're trying to make me look bad.
I did see that. Like, when you posted the announcement, there was somebody who was like, oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan. Are you going to make fun of Will? It's like, what's your problem? It's like, why would you lie?
Such silliness, man. I hope it makes whoever does that shit happy, though. Like, if that's your passion in life, some of us fix refrigerators, fix watches, and some people, pretend to be fans of someone to make them look bad on the internet, God bless them.
Yeah. Yeah. I just sent you a link to the archive. I think it's on internetarchive.org. I'm not sure who archived it, but they have, like, all the videos on there.
Oh, perfect. Let's pin that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
That might have been Stainbine, who he is incredible at archival. I almost can't imagine. I almost can't believe it's one person doing all that. Like, he archives everything.
Oh yeah, he makes sure that that content never dies.
Indeed. Dave Maljean says Sal's the type of guy that blinds you with his bald head. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh my days. What kind of shit is that? Oh, days.
Just having a good laugh. God bless him. Is Walt's regular channel back? No, but the channel we have up is his new home. Much the same as the main channel, right? Like talking about Marvel, talking about his interests.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff. Just me bullshitting about things I'm interested in.
And doing pretty well at it. Doing pretty well at it. It impresses me. I enjoyed that the rise and fall of two catching old Jabri there. I always liked it when you went after people like that in EDP. I always liked that old shit.
Oh yeah, oh man, To Catch a Predator is great. I love To Catch a Predator. I will watch reruns of that.
Yeah, and that was
And
super old too. Like shit, that was almost what 16 years ago.
oh, it was so hard to find a lot of like the clips for some of the things I was referencing because it's so old.
Hmm.
But a lot of people have done a great job of archiving that stuff as well.
So, a question about some of the things you're interested in. I saw the most recent. Well, I guess it's not the most recent video anymore. But it was the most recent one I watched by you. Actually, I don't know where it is anymore. I thought you made a video said like GQ made the. Oh yeah, there it is. GQ made the worst top 100 video games list, and I saw you laughing your
Yeah.
ass off at Breath of the Wild being number one. And I was curious if you had a top five. I feel like video games are definitely a big passion for you. I mean, obviously your name is a reference to one of the greatest video game series of all times, in my opinion. And I was just
Yeah,
curious if you had a top five.
that's really hard
No
because there are a
worries.
lot of great games out there. I would say as of right now, my number one, and it may be recency bias just because just I just played it. Um, but my number one right now is God of War Ragnarok.
Oh.
And that came out, what was that, November of last year?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I had to just go through and plot some on there, I do think The Last of Us, for all the ire it dries, is a really great game for. I think video games can be a lot of things, and I think the fact that it's more akin to a film or a television series, and it works so well. The first game, of course, not the sequel. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the greatest games. The sequel was abysmal. It was just a joke of storytelling, and I understand why so many top writers left Naughty Dog before its release. I'm fairly certain that they tried to write something good, and they got pushed to the side.
Mhm.
I mean, the first enemy you fight or enemy in The Last of Us 2 is a bigot. It's the dumbest fucking thing. I put the controller down and walked away. And like, okay, if that's what we're doing now. But the first one I would definitely put up there as a really great game. But I mean, the rest of the list, I could just dump a bunch everywhere, and they wouldn't really fall in any particular number. But they had some really weird choices on that list. I absolutely wouldn't put Breath of the Wild that high up there.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, as much as I love the game too, like it was far too empty, in my opinion. I don't know if that
Oh
makes sense.
yeah,
I
it
think.
was just a sandbox, and I think you need to do more than just open up the world and dump someone in there. I mean, Minecraft is the best game of all time, and Breath of the Wild is Minecraft and Hyrule, basically.
That's a great point. That's a great point. You know, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I always got the feeling that, especially Breath of the Wild and now the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, I always felt like they got a huge boost from the female side of gaming just because like so many girls find Link to be like, the sexiest thing in the world. So I don't know if that got like the bias from GQ. Especially like if you play Tears of the Kingdom, like the first 3 hours, Link doesn't get a shirt, and I'm like that was intentional. That was intentional.
Yeah, no, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, surprisingly, but I when I saw the new mechanic where they basically just fuse a bunch of things together,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, so this is really Minecraft
Yeah.
now. I'm like, I'll wait on it then.
I I I agree, man. It's such a goofy shit, and the tutorial takes forever, man. It's like you're on tutorial island for 3 hours or some shit. Like it's
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it's quite annoying, honestly. I'm disappointed with that game. I'm disappointed with that game. But everyone I know seems to love it. But again, I think I you made a video about this too. I think Zelda is one of those series like Pokemon. Definitely nowhere near as bad as Pokemon. But like Pokemon, they just pack it in and just write Pokemon on the title, and everyone eats that shit up. Like it's always 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. It's
Yeah.
regardless of the glitches. And you made a good video. I remember watching about that. Like yeah, there it is. The Switch is too weak to run games where you critiqued, people defending those new Pokemon games. I thought you did an excellent and succinct
Oh,
job of that.
yeah. Man, it's a joke, and I think it's so ironic, and I want to make a longer video tearing into how Pokemon is a joke because for a game that's like core gimmick is evolution, for it to be as stagnant as it has been for the past 20 years, it is a joke. I don't understand why anyone plays the new Pokemon games. It's a pathetic franchise now, but they're gonna put some garbage out and make $1 billion. So
Exactly. Exactly, man. It's a cash cow franchise. I think even after Gen 5 or whatever, like the director, I think Masada is his name, he said straight up, like, yeah, we don't put as much effort into the game anymore because people don't. His justification was people don't play games for as long anymore. And I'm like, okay, what you mean by that is that people will buy it even if it's shit, and you're right.
yeah, basically, we don't have to give a shit anymore. It's what he really meant to say.
Exactly. And you're a big Marvel fan too, as well.
I am a huge Marvel fan. Unfortunately, at this stage, because it's getting harder and harder to defend them on a lot of decisions they've made. But I know I'm a huge fan of Marvel, but I'm a huge fan of like all that pop culture stuff in general. I love DC as well, and I'd be a bigger fan of DC if they knew how to make a fucking movie. But
Yeah.
alas.
Yeah, Marvel really popped off in the last decade just by virtue of those movies. A few people wanted to ask you questions. Sorry, guys, I missed it. Max wanted to ask you who you main in Overwatch.
Oh,
I
a
presume
couple of
Tracer for that
characters.
ass.
No, because they nerfed it
Yeah.
because they had controversy, so they made it smaller. But no, Farah, Junkrat, Sombra, Junker Queen, and Moira are the ones I typically play the most.
Bro Moment wanted to know if you ever played Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami. That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever played it. Is that racing game?
I always thought it was a GTA clone, but
It might
a
be.
top town GTA clone, I think. Yeah, I think so.
Oh no, I don't play any top-down games. I just don't like that point of view.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only top down I enjoyed was like this stick figure stupidity game. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I actually know almost nothing about Marvel, and I'd say the most I've learned about Marvel is actually from those shorts you used to have on the old channel. I'm glad you started re-uploading them again. Like
Yeah.
you had a really great grasp of that shorts algorithm.
Yeah, no, and it was kind of perfect because they were like small things that I had wanted to make videos on
Hmm.
that weren't long enough to make videos on. Like the minute fact that Uncle Ben wasn't the first person to say, "Great with great
Hmm.
power comes great responsibility." Um, but like, I can't make a 10-minute video about that. That's not that long, so it really worked for short content.
Yeah, yeah, and plus by virtue of being vertical, it's a comic book, so it just worked perfectly for your channel. I definitely want to not to press you, but I definitely want to see that. I want to see that make a comeback. I'd love to see that.
Absolutely. I have a few that I have a little notepad on my desk with like ideas. And I have a couple that I'm working on more Marvel misconceptions, branding.
Good shit. Good shit. I'm looking forward to it. Do you have an immediate plan for I mean, not that you need to, but I'm just curious like what can there's a lot of fans of you in the chat. What should they be looking out for next from Vault 14?
So yeah, I see Lukey said a No Way Home video. So yeah, I do want to get back to those, making a couple more full movie reviews, the longer ones where I go over like an entire movie. So there are a couple I want to do. I'm going to do all three Spider-Man film in the MCU because I hate them so much. And I want to do Black Adam because that was a piece of shit. Jesus Christ, I saw that last year, and I was laughing in the theater, and people around me were upset because they were enjoying it. And I'm like, no, this is garbage. I'm gonna laugh. So there are a couple more of those I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Black Adam, all the Marvel movies. Oh, well, not all of them, just all the Spider-Man ones. Venom is one I want to do as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot more of those are in the pipeline. Those longer form ones. There's just some short stuff that I had been putting out because it was just on my mind. But I am working on the longer ones. The issue with that is I have to watch the movie to refresh my memory,
Hmm.
and then record and rewatch it as I'm recording to make sure I'm getting my points right. So it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, dude, people underestimate how hard it is just to make a video. That's what I always respected. Like anyone who can make, you used to make like straight up 50-minute long videos, and like I always respected that because it's so damn hard. Like the hardest part for me is just editing it after the fact. Like the talking is kind of easy, but like having something on screen and all that shit, the editing, that's what I hate most. That's what keeps me from making videos most. So I respect anyone who can do those long form videos like you did.
Yeah, editing is dreadful. I'll finish recording the audio and then just leave it on my desktop for a week. I'm like,
Exactly. What do you use to edit, by the way? I'm a DaVinci Resolve guy myself.
I use Audition, so just the Adobe suite.
Oh, gotcha. Smart man, smart man. Hood Hustler wants to know: did you read The Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe?
No, I've stopped reading all new comics. So if a comic hasn't come out before 2010, I don't read it anymore. It's a waste of time and money. They're doing the most stupid things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not like a person who subscribes to the quartering fat ass dumbass, uploading a video every 5 minutes anytime Brie Larson farts on a microphone and like, oh, SJWs are ruining my comics. I don't subscribe to that because I'm not a loser. But there are a lot of decisions they make where it's very clearly not for comic book fans and trying to bring in a different audience by doing that kind of stuff. Virtue signaling, and it pisses me the fuck off. So I've just stopped reading all comics because I don't mind, you know, addressing social issues or having, female empowerment because, most superheroes have been men for the longest time. I understand that. So if you want to make more female superheroes, I'm not gonna piss down my leg about it. But if the superhero pops up and her first thing is like pussy power, I'm not reading that. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? I'm not going to read that.
I couldn't agree more, dude. I don't understand how these people who make fiction of this nature and have the money and power to make fiction of this nature are so incompetent as to realize that is just insufferable. It drives your viewers away. Like, if you want a good example of how to do a good woman right, look at the Metroid series. Like, you basically just do it the exact same way you do a man and just make her a girl. Pretty much.
It's that simple. One of my favorite video game characters of all time is Lara Croft. I love the Tomb Raider games. She's awesome, but she's capable in her own right, and she struggles, and she suffers, and she's never ridiculously overpowered. Like in the newer Tomb Raider games, what I found super interesting is the way they mocapped her is she braces her gun like I've seen women do at shooting ranges because she's not as physically strong as like the men in the game, and the men will shoot differently. And I'm like, that's such good, attention to design and attention to detail. And I love all those games. But if she came out and was like pussy power, I turn the shit off. I'm not playing this.
That is impressive perception. I never realized that they mocap that, that actual female method of bracing the gun. Because you're right. Yeah. Like the last time I went shooting with a girl. It's just it. Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? People don't realize that women are actually naturally better shots than men. But that power and recoil is it definitely hits women differently than it does men, and the musculature is just different. Someone said Samus is legit minus another M. Yeah, other M was garbage.
Oh, I never played Other M, but I did hear about it.
They made her a bitch. They made her a bitch, and she has never been a bitch. It just didn't make sense to me. It was like someone who knew nothing about Metroid wrote that game, man. It was disgraceful.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I saw you made a video about the Avatar, and I saw Nukinator is a big fan of you. I imagine that is something that brings you guys together. That fandom of Avatar: The Last Airbending.
Oh yeah, Nukinator is great. I constantly see him in my comment section or in the live stream. Avatar is another great one where they had female empowerment, but it was never unbearable. Toph and Katara are some of the greatest written characters, especially for a kids show. So that's really good stuff right there. And then you have the Legend of Korra, which is what it is.
I gotta ask you your opinion on Korra because I love the original Avatar as well, and I'm a big Azula fan myself. But I thought Korra was just a very mediocre kind of cash in follow up, and I feel like their best writers left, kind of like you mentioned about I forget what series you mentioned. Oh yeah, The Last of Us 2. I felt like the best writers left for the Avatar sequel, Legend of Korra. What was your opinion of it?
Yeah, I turned it off. Well, like 5 minutes in, as soon as she came out and bent three elements, I was like, "Yeah, this is what this is gonna be." So then it took me like a couple of years to go back and try to watch it, and I think they really missed the mark on understanding what made the original Team Avatar compelling characters,
Mm-hmm.
because Korra, not to use a very overused term, is a Mary Sue, unfortunately.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's just it was really poor writing and just misunderstanding the Avatar mythos and the universe. So I didn't fancy it at all, but I know people did because I guess she ended up being a lesbian at the end. I don't know what the fuck.
Bisexual, I believe. Yeah, she kisses the hot girl Amani, I think her name is.
Yeah, so that immediately got them some bonus points.
Yeah, I think that's what people remember it most for now. Like it was right at the end they decided to make her bisexual, and smart of them because there was nothing else to remember that show for. But for those of you that don't
Absolutely.
know, the term vault just used Mary Sue. It refers to a female character in general. That it comes from some terrible Star Trek fanfic actually, where a woman basically wrote herself into Star Trek as Mary Sue, and she was like just beloved by everyone and capable of everything, just insufferably good at everything. So basically, think of your typical anime protagonist, just boring and yeah, bro, moment, yeah. That's what a Mary Sue is. For those of you that don't know, because I know Maximus might be more familiar with Gary Stews.
Yeah.
Max MC wants to ask your opinion on Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. Okay, so Gotham Knights is a good game if you only think of Gotham Knights as its own game. I think a lot of people went into it expecting it to be the Arkham games
Mm-hmm.
when that was never their intention because it wasn't even made by the same studio. So they went in with a completely different goal when creating the game. So if you take it as its own product and you don't look at the Arkham series and compare it to, the Arkham series and Arkham Batman and all that, you will enjoy your time with the game. They have four distinct, characters to play as, and they play uniquely. They have their own unique cutscenes and interactions with, other characters in the story. So if you take it as its own product, it's a good game. If you compare it to the Arkham games, it's going to fall short of your expectations, and you won't enjoy it as much. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a solid 7. You'll enjoy your time with it if you like Batman lore and the Bat family.
Yeah, I never played it myself. I saw that the chief complaint was that it was, I don't know, I think originally designed to be excuse me, a more online-ish game. I think with like a gotcha element, and it was like they kind of half-heartedly implemented that. Is that accurate or some shit? Like they
So there
copied Destiny.
is, yeah, there is that like online component, but it's not really prevalent. I don't know if they toned it down after receiving that kind of feedback, but it's not super prevalent. You can play the entire game without ever having to interact with the online component of it. So yeah, they might have toned it down though. They might. Well, I didn't see the initial advertising campaign,
Hmm.
so I don't know if it was more prevalent in the beginning.
Gotcha. Jib is wishing both of us well. Thank you, Jib. Thank you,
Thank
Jib.
you.
Yeah, our man Vault Rep has been killing it. You said what's a Raylo? I think that's a Star Wars reference, I believe. Or like Raylo Ren or some shit. I've
Oh
never.
yeah, the Kylo Ren and Rey. That's their ship name.
Gotcha. What do you think of shippers? I mean, it's a lot. I remember like back in the 2008 days of the internet, shipping was massive. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing some fucking fictional ship. But it seems like that's really died down today. What do you think of shippers?
I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh man, that reminds me of a video I wanted to make. It was going to be titled "The Stupidest Time in Marvel History," and it was directly after the release of Captain America: Civil War. I don't know if anyone remembers, but it was trending on Twitter for a long time. And I'm sure if you search Twitter and the hashtag "Give Captain America a Boyfriend," it was the worst, the fucking worst thing. Because Bucky, is his friend, and they fought in the war together. And that's the only person who was alive from his time. So it's he cares about him. But everyone was shipping them together, like, oh my god, they should date because they've never heard of brotherhood, that stems from military service and that kind of camaraderie. So they're like, nah, he has to be a fudge packer. And it was so fucking stupid. It was so dumb. I hate shippers so much. It's people who can't get any love in real life living vicariously through fictional characters.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I don't know. It was always so weird to me growing up seeing that obsession with like people, as they say, literally dying for their ship. You would think this is a matter of religion or something. Like people really take that shit seriously.
No, yeah, they do, absolutely, and they will get mad if you say like they're not together.
Yeah.
It is nerd girls. He's right. Max was
Yes.
right. It's nerd girls mostly doing the most stupid shit, and it's always a gay relationship. It's very rarely a heterosexual relationship.
It's an interesting dichotomy too. I've noticed that like most writers of original series are men, but most fanfic writers are actually women, and most of those female fanfic writers are always basically writing smut, writing
Yeah,
smut.
yeah. I think that stems from the fact that women won't often watch pornography, but will read the shit out of it. Like, I didn't realize that they were doing this when I lived in New York. But there were women on the underground, just 50 Shades of Grey out in public.
Hmm.
So, and I thought it was, another Twilight or something. So I ignored it. I'm like, all right, I guess you're reading. That's good. But yeah, women will read and write the shit out of some porn. So I think that's why it's more often women when it comes to the shipping and fan fiction.
Agreed completely. Thank you, by the way, for mentioning New York, because I would have totally forgotten to go there. It was one of the things that most interested me. You, despite being a lifelong Briton, as far as I know, you say you write fanfics. God bless you. Yeah, you, despite being a lifelong Briton, you went to college in New York, Columbia University. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. English literature and comparative studies was my major, and psych was my minor.
God bless, man. God bless. When did you go?
2010 to 2014.
Oh my God, we literally could have been classmates if I had gone. We literally could have been classmates.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I yeah, I suppose I'd be a year or so behind you, but yeah, they didn't give me a full scholarship, so I couldn't go, and I was poor as shit. Like I couldn't go to anywhere without a full scholarship, so I went to a military academy. Actually,
Oh, okay.
that's how I wound up going to college. But it's crazy. You and I were probably in New York at the same time, probably riding the train. What train line did you take going to Columbia?
So I took the two train,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would take the one train because two was express and one would stop everywhere.
Yep.
So yeah, it'd be the two to the one.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. So did you leave New York immediately after you graduated because like you were there on a student visa? Good to see you.
Yeah, pretty close. But no, I wasn't there because I have dual citizenship.
Oh.
Because my mother's American. So I just left because I was done with school. So I was like, all right, well, I'm out of here. But yeah, I could have stayed. I was back and forth, living in New York consistently just throughout my childhood, because of the dual citizenship. So.
Got you. Got you. So you were back and forth. I thought you were in Britain all your life. That's awesome.
No, it's back and forth. I went to school. I went to primary school for a couple of years. Did you go to primary school in New York?
Yeah, yeah. I spent the first 19 years of my life in New York.
Okay, yeah, I went to PS41 and then MS 104. Those were the two schools I attended when I lived there. PS41 was in the Greenwich Village area. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area.
A bit, a bit. I also went to a PS. I honestly don't remember. I think it was like PS49, but PS41. Where's that at? Yeah, Greenwich Village School. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I know it. God damn, dude, we were close by.
Yeah. I mean, we might have bumped into each other, honestly. I
Yeah,
just never know.
it's crazy how oh my god, Max MC says fangirls writing Vault fanfic as we speak.
If someone writes it, I will do a full reading of it on and make a video about it.
I might have to join you for that. I might have to swallow my pride and join you for that. Dude, isn't it crazy, by the way? I mean, God bless you being in Britain now, but, growing up in New York City, how jam-packed we all are. Like, these townhouses that are right next to each other, like, anyone who lives anywhere else, like our boys Malik and Lukey, Ayo, Coffee Sama, you might see these and think, like, wow, those must be, cheap shit houses. And, like, no, if you own a condo or a townhouse in New York that's jam-packed like this, you're honestly quite wealthy, relatively speaking.
Yeah, yeah, no, honestly, you are. And yeah, everyone's packed in like sardines. I went back to New York, February of 2020, and everyone like pelvis to pelvis on the train because we went to the MoMA. We just did a bunch of stuff. Everyone's packed together. I went with a lady friend, and while we were on the tube, it was her first time in New York City. The one across the platform, we hear a crack sound. So all you hear is this, and I turn around and I see someone fall face forward onto the platform. And I'm like, oh, great. And someone hops on top of him, and he's like, I told you to stop bumping into me. And I was just like, and she's like clutching her pearls. I'm like, this is New York City. It's, that's just what happens. And everyone else on the platform was just like, great. Now the trains are going to be delayed. So yeah, it was a laugh to see that, and it was a perfect. It was emblematic of the city, so it was perfect to show her that.
Yeah, dude, the subway is just, you literally can't get on the subway without running into some crazy stupidity like that, man. Absolutely. Maximus says, do you have a bed frame? Yes, he showed off his bed frame in that video we mentioned earlier.
Yes, I have a bed for it. And here's the thing that was always a laugh to me too. I don't hate people for not having a bed frame because if you don't have a
Right.
bed frame, get it how you live. I hate Dale for not having a bed frame because you can't talk as much shit as you do and sleep on the floor. That's absurd to me. Especially he's 6'5" on the floor. That kind of air pressure on his body has to be insane. I'm like, you need to raise your bed up, mate. You can't talk shit to anyone when you sleep on the floor like that.
100%, especially if you're a baller. Like, I mean, you know what? God bless Dale because, like, he's rocking a full size bed, which a midget like me can get away with, but a full size bed when you're 6'5", man. God damn.
Yeah.
Like, Elena must have been sleeping in the fucking cat bed. I mean,
It was absurd. She was stuck between the bed and the wall whenever when he got done with the street.
since someone was asking about it too, I went to Casa de Lancaster, by the way, once when where he lives. I was apartment hunting. Dude, the entirety of Lancaster has a stench to it. It's like the entirety of Lancaster has a body odor to it. It's really, really strange and
Really?
unique. Yeah, and Casa de Lancaster is no better, man. Like, it's definitely not how you expect, a 40-year-old baller, God bless him, to be living, it's probably
Yeah.
part of why he's so miserable. God bless him, man.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's frustrated. I mean, when your credit score is 36 and you can't rent anything else, I'm sure it's gotta be frustrating pulling up in the Dodge Charger every day to that piece of shit, home. So, I mean, I'd be mad too if I was damn near 40 years old living in that area.
Amen, man. Like, it blows my mind that anyone would own two cars before owning a home in which to put them. That blows my mind. That blows my mind.
Yeah,
That man's a special kind of genius, dude, beyond my understanding.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't purchase a vanity plate when I don't own my home, but that's just me. I wouldn't, and put my fake name on it when I don't own my home. That's just me personally. I would wait.
Oh, I always thought the license plate was Black DSP.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. Wait, is it? Is it? Is that what he put on
Yeah,
there?
the first three letters are black, and the last four letters are RROW, which means, or excuse me, the last four letters are RROW, which means black, and the first three letters are DSP.
Yeah, couldn't be me. I also wouldn't get a vanity plate before I changed my name to the fake name I pretend it is. I don't know why he hasn't done that yet.
And
Legally, his name is still Dale Wilson. Just go get it changed.
I agree. I've heard some people say he can't because he's a felon. God bless. But I agree with you completely, especially just about vanity plates in general. Like, it's definitely something like, no offense, but I always see. Not, I don't mean no offense to you. Not, I'm not talking about you. I mean, like, it's something I see in only ignorant people. Like, no offense to anyone who has a vanity plate, but like, it's something that identifies you more, right? And I don't know how you feel about this, but growing up in New York City, like, you never want to stick out. You never want to stick out because some crazy fucking weirdo is gonna get attracted to you. You know what I mean? That's
Oh
just my
yeah.
mentality.
No, not at all. And that's why you don't buy a vanity plate, because if something happens and you offend the wrong person, you say something they don't like, it's
Hmm.
very easy to look for the plate with your name on
Exactly.
it. So don't do that.
And if that were his real name too, you know, the dude is walking around with his docs out there. You know, like how silly is that? With how insane the United States is in particular.
Yeah.
Absolutely silly. Someone asked if you Maximus again starting shit. He asked, "What do you think about Keemstar offering Dale 10K for a boxing match and refusing?"
Oh, I saw that. Someone sent me a clip of that recently. Here's my thing about that. Why? Dale is such a pathological liar. It's so stupid. So I remember even back when I was making content, he would say all the time, "Oh yeah, how do you know I don't train? I may know all kinds of martial arts, and I just keep it a secret. I don't tell nobody what kind of karate I do." And then Keemstar's like, "Yeah, let's get." Dale in the boxing match. He's like, all I need is 6 months and 50K. If you train, you don't need 6 months. If Keemstar asked you or I to do it, be like, yeah, give us a month. At the end of the month, we'll be there. 6 months? That means you don't train at all. You don't fight, period.
Mm-hmm.
If you need 6 months of training, that's a half of a year to get ready. That's insane. I don't think Wings needed 6 months.
No, they
I,
got 1 month's notice.
yeah, sorry, it's insane.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's a big tell because he even said on his stream. I mean, I don't not watching this shit whatsoever, but I saw the highlights too. He said, regardless of if I get accepted or not, I'm gonna start beginning my training tomorrow. And I was like you just said, he claims he knows how to defend takedowns and he knows karate and all that shit. And it's like, no, you don't, dude. You just watch UFC and you think you can replicate it because you're dumb.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's watched UFC and a couple Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movies, and he's like, "Yeah, I can do that."
Exactly. Exactly. That's why. Honestly, I'd be chomping at the bit to be the one who gets that fight. And if it's not me, I just hope it's one of you guys. Like, I don't care who it is, as long as it's someone fit to fight. Because, like, you know, I remember how I was the first time I had to step into a boxing. When you don't have that muscle memory, you are just a fish out of water, ripe to be eaten up by an eagle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. He doesn't have that kind of muscle memory. He thinks because he's tall and muscular, that's all that it's required. But no, someone with even a modicum of training would tear him apart.
Mm-hmm. And whichever one of you that gets me, or whoever gets me, I just hope it's someone who would really make him pay for all that bullshit he's done. I would love
I
that.
hope so, because it just be the brilliant thing about it is most of the claims that we've made online and things that we've discovered about him, he's always had plausible deniability. Like, oh, that's not true because I didn't say it. Because we've very rarely had hard evidence of things. We've just pieced it together and come to accurate conclusions. But him being beat up in a ring, there's nothing he can come on stream and say after that. Because we watched it happen. He can't say, oh, I was going 2%.
Especially against only 8.
Yeah.
Speaking
Sorry, it'd be lovely.
speaking of, God bless Alex Dark Sniper in the chat. Thank you for joining, man. God bless you. Even if you were just here to say hello, awesome to see you. God bless you, man. Big fan of Alex Dark Sniper, another gentleman that person in particular is challenged to a fight. Very, very ill-advisedly challenged to a fight.
Yeah.
So, return to New York. If you could choose, well, I mean, you could choose. Obviously, you're a successful man. But where would you live if you had any choice in the world? Like, of all the places you've been, you seem like a well-traveled gentleman to me. What is your favorite place to be, if you don't mind me asking?
I would say I kind of want to move back to New York just for a few years because I love the hustle and bustle of that kind of city. London's, fun, but nothing's like New York City. But if I had to settle down, it would probably be, if not the US, somewhere like New Hampshire or Maine, like somewhere where I would still get, all 4 seasons. I would see the leaves change in autumn. I'd get some snow. I'd have a nice home in a nice area. That's where I'd want to settle down and have a family. If not that, maybe somewhere like Spain or Italy, somewhere with some culture. It definitely wouldn't be the UK. I definitely don't plan on raising a family in the UK, just because it's also very cramped and expensive for no reason. So to buy the kind of home that I would want to raise a family in, I'd be spending an absurd amount of money for something that's not all that great. So yeah, something like New Hampshire or Maine, those are the places I really looked at, or maybe even Germany. I love Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Germany's fantastic, and the people are actually really, really nice.
Damn,
Some of the nicest people in when it comes to Europe.
you had a different experience from mine in Germany, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I went to Munich, Berlin, and Hamburg, and yeah, they were assholes. They were assholes there. I don't know where you were at in Germany though.
I was in this little town. Is it called like Strasbourg? It's a small, yes, Strasbourg. That's where it was.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Lukey is laughing at me because on Google Maps I saw some woman scantily dressed and looked at it. Yeah, you know I'm shameless, Lukey. I apologize. But that's the thing too. Speaking of that, like in New York City, I swear to God, like if there's one good thing about that city, maybe it's because everyone walks everywhere, but easily the most attractive women I've ever seen in my life in New York City.
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous women in New York. They say come to Miami. I would never step foot in Florida.
Really? Why is that? Gators?
The Florida is just a shit pit. There's nothing to do in Florida besides getting an STD. Why would I go to Miami? Yeah, absolutely not. Not Miami. I almost went to college in Ohio, Miami University of Ohio, but Columbia was more appealing for job applications.
Oh yeah. The ability to put an Ivy League on your resume, that opens doors. That opens
Yeah.
doors, regardless of the major, regardless of even how long it was. Like, yeah, it's definitely got some benefits and always will. I think so. I think you made a good decision. You said you need Texas in the Midwest, Vault. Yeah, I mean the only advantages of those places. I mean, Vault was saying earlier that as a gentleman looking to start a family, perhaps Texas and those middle of nowhere places in America, you can get a mansion for 100K. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I've been in Texas. Yeah, the Texas is super affordable, and you can get great things, a great home for like 350 grand. You can get a really nice house out in Texas. Now it depends if you want to live in the sticks, even cheaper than that. But if you want to live closer to a more metropolitan area, yeah, 350 grand.
Yeah, I agree completely. Speaking of, may I ask, are you a gentleman enjoying the bachelor life, or are you a gentleman looking to, I don't know, settle down, start a family?
Uh, oof, that is tough. Because you think you want to, right?
For all the ladies in the chat.
You think you want to start settling down, but then life is like, yeah, well, maybe not. I'm still young and I'm a man, so I don't have to. It's not like I have a clock.
That's true.
So it's tough. I flip flop between them.
I hear that completely. And it is tough. Life is always just throwing new obstacles at you, no matter who you are. JDX is talking about SJW. God bless you. He said, I was curious if you had heard from Laz since the chat he had with you in stream. No, we talk a little bit sometimes through DMs actually, which is something I never thought I'd be able to say. But yeah, Laz and I sometimes make sure each other is alive. God bless
That's
Laz.
right.
God
Is
bless him.
Laz still like a fervent Dale fan?
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a fervent Dell fan for sure.
That's super surprising because I feel like Dale doesn't address him at all.
No, he doesn't at all, and that's because, and that's not a point I tried to make to Mr. Lazarus, who might watch this. God bless him. I hope he does. But I keep trying to tell him, a friend that uses you in private but won't defend you in public, or won't even, associate with you in public, he is not your friend. He is just using you, and anyone can do that to anyone. And I don't think he's done anything to earn your friendship, and you should probably leave that relationship. But I don't know. I don't think he ever will. I think he values being that number one guy for him too much. God bless. God bless Laz. He released a video saying he's running for president, and I'll vote for him.
What's his platform? What's his campaign promise? Golden cloaks for everybody.
Yeah, I only got to watch like the first 30 seconds of it. He also censored it too. He does this thing where he releases the video, and then after the fact he decides to censor it, and someone asked him about it, and he said he's been followed by black cars lately and being tracked, and that's why he had to censor it. And I'm like, dude, you.
Oh no, is he becoming schizophrenic?
I
Is he?
think he's been schizophrenic a bit, and I think the more drugs he does, the worse it might get. He told me he stopped drinking, and I'm really happy to hear that. But like, if he ever does marijuana or shit, he might end up like Terry Davis, man.
Yeah, that's a bit insane. That's gang stalking behavior to say black cars are following him.
Yeah, it's worrisome. I don't know. I hope his wife can do something for him, but I don't know if she's got the wherewithal to do that. Kind of like, Wing's wife isn't really going to be able to help him. Speaking of, dude, sorry to talk to you more about Lolcow shit, but you saw that Wings versus Boogie fight. I mean, how about Wings of Redemption finally getting some redemption for once in his life? God bless him.
Absolutely, but yeah, since I follow you on Twitter, that's how I stayed abreast of a lot of that. And when I saw you make the point that Wings has a more athletic build, that's when I was like, he's absolutely right. Wings is far more athletic than Boogie. I mean, Boogie, I don't think Boogie threw a single punch.
No, he tried to throw one or two, but he couldn't even get him off. Like, it's just like we were talking about with that Dale weirdo that said, he trains but he doesn't actually train. Like, that's how you are when you have never been in a fight or been in a spar. Like, you can't get the things off because you're just so shocked by getting punched,
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that was sad. And then he said afterwards, and Wings got the best of me, but I'll be back. Got the best of you? Was that the best of you? I don't think it was very difficult for Wings to get the best of you.
no, I agree completely. I think Boogie, God bless his soul. I think he knows that this boxing and this stepping in the ring, despite being a fat man, is probably one of the few things he can do that looks good on him and that reflects well on him. And he's trying to really make sure Keemstar keeps bringing him back, and he might, but I don't know. I don't think anyone kind of wants to see Boogie fight again unless it's someone as grossly out of shape as he is. I think if they want anyone to do it, it should probably be Boogie versus a good old Tipster. I think those probably the only person in the world.
Oh, my Tipster's pathetic ass isn't going to get in the ring.
I think he should do it. I mean, I know he hates Keemstar, but I think they both want that money. They both want that boost, that social media boost. I agree. He probably won't, but I think he should.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely should. it'd be an interesting watch and it'd be, you know, a good brand boost for him. But Tipster is definitely far too cowardly. I remember um, when a couple of Dale sexuals came to Tipster's comment section, he deleted a video because he got scared of their threats.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a laugh. And then he was like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about Lurtigan anymore." So yeah, I think he's far too cowardly. I think he just likes sitting in his office chair, which must be made out of vibranium or something. I don't know how it sustains its weight, and reacting to internet drama.
I feel like there's a little beef there. I feel like something happened behind the scenes with you two guys.
Oh no, I just don't like cowards. That's one of my biggest gripes. Like, I can call people a lot of things, but if I think you're genuinely a bitch, like I can't stand it. There's too much life to live to be afeared of things. So I just hate cowards so much.
That's actually a really profound statement. I mean, you'd never guess that we were talking about a fat guy fighting, but like you just said, really profound. Yeah, too much life to live your life in fear. It's profound, man. I agree. I agree. And like the whole shtick against Boogie, or excuse me, against Wings for the longest time has been like, he was too afraid to go on a camping trip. Well, now he got in a boxing fight and won that boxing fight resoundingly. And I'm not gonna lie, dude. I saw this post-fight interview where he and his wife is kind of, in my opinion, a bit of a cheater, a bit of a piece of shit. Um, and they just were so happy, so genuinely happy for the first time in forever. And I'm not gonna lie, like seeing these two fat people that I've never met before finally being happy for once in years, like it got me emotional. Like I was watching this and I was like, God damn, I'm just so happy for
Yeah,
these guys.
I hope it's going to be a positive development for him. Because I mean, it takes something this small to really boost someone's morale and have them have a completely new outlook on life. So he could be riding this high for a long time and just make the correct changes and become a completely different Wings.
I completely agree. I saw him finally leaning into his following, and he was doing some stream where he and his wife were just walking through a park and having a good day together, and like the donations were pouring in. He has at least 500 viewers, far more viewers than he's had in a very long time, and I hope he builds on it. I really, really hope he builds on it. It would kill me if he fell back into the throes of depression, because I know that clutches a lot of people for sure.
Right.
Hey, yo, Coffee Tama saying Tipster's an opportunity. God bless him. JDX the kid says, shut up, JDX. JDX, don't be insulting his wife like that. Come on, man. Laz might kill you. JDX was saying that he schlupped Ray's wife. Come on, man.
Don't do that, JDX. That's a married woman. You
Exactly.
leave her alone.
Exactly. Exactly. So is there any game on the horizon that you're? Oh, I see you made a link post. I didn't even see that. You asked, should Link talk? Should Link talk? I personally think no, he shouldn't. But what do you think? Should he talk?
I think the way the games have changed his characterization, I don't think he's that blank slate anymore that he used to be. Like the, pixel sprite kid in a green tunic was kind of that stand-in for you as an individual. But now we have full cutscenes with him interacting with other characters who clearly have relationships built around him. The Zelda, the other heroes in Breath of the Wild. I think as of now, it's far too awkward for him not to talk. Because everyone else is talking and laughing it up and having a good time, and he's just sitting there, and it's like, okay, well, are you mute? Are you okay? Why are you not interacting with anyone else? I don't think it should be every couple of seconds he's having something to say, but I think he should have a few voiced lines in the modern games by now, very sparingly, kind of like Master Chief isn't riffing every 5 seconds, but he speaks when he needs to, and I think that should be Link's characterization now. I think it's been long enough.
That's fair. That'd be super interesting, honestly. I feel like Link not talking is as iconic as his green hat and tunic, but like you just said, they did away with that, and it worked. It worked. So like, it's definitely a step they could take. My question to you: if Link did talk, it would certainly be a very big moment. What should his first words be? And yeah, I know he said "come on" in Wind Waker. Don't you guys in the chat correct me. But if he had an actual talk and dialogue, what do you think his first words should be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Maybe like the first line is after he pulls the Master Sword, like after he obtains it, and he says, something about that, like I'm ready or finally, something about him getting ready to take on Ganon. Yeah, because I don't think has to be much, because
Dude,
a lot of the cutscenes work without him talking.
Big W had the best answer. He said his first line should be, "Well, excuse me, princess."
That should be his first line for the memes.
Brilliant answer. Brilliant answer. I remember growing up a series I liked, and it was definitely like the protagonist was kind of a clone of Link. The original Jack and Daxter series. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I just uh played the first one. I'm
Oh,
like
no kidding.
halfway through that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. And I remember in the first one, it felt like Jack was definitely, kind of an XP, just a copy of Link, like right, like the elf ears, blonde, you know, a mime, and he has the guy talking for him, Daxter talking for him. Um, but then you play Jack and Daxter 2, and no spoilers if you're gonna play it, but you play 2, which was rated T instead of E, and like to show that the game matured. Like Jack talks for the first time after spending the opening cutscene being tortured, and the first thing he says is, "I'm gonna kill Praxis," and I thought that was a really a really powerful utilization of the first line of that character. Like if you have a mime that finally talks, it should definitely be something important.
Right, yeah. That's actually pretty sick. I didn't know that. Oh, so that's something to look forward to.
And sorry for spoiling that. If so,
No, no, that it's pretty minor, but yeah, that's something to look forward to. Yeah, and I think a lot of silent protagonists have started speaking in their sequels, so I don't think it'd be too jarring. Isaac Clarke from the first Dead Space game, he was silent, and then in Dead Space 2, he spoke, and no one was, freaked out about that. Corvo Altano from Dishonored 1 was silent, but in Dishonored 2, he spoke, and that was perfectly fine. I think there are a lot of silent protagonists that have eventually spoken if the need arises. I don't know if you played the first Saints Row game, but your character is silent the whole game, and people comment on it. But in one of the final missions, he speaks, and it's a quip, but it's funny. But Saints Row is a more unserious series,
right,
so it worked for it.
right. Yeah, unfortunately, I never got to play those, but yeah, that is a great point. It almost seems more common for the silent protagonist to eventually speak than to remain silent forever, which maybe that'll be their gimmick to keep him silent. I don't know. It does seem like your poll is split. It seems like a very tight poll.
Yeah, no, people are. A lot of people don't want him speaking, but I think since he hasn't spoken for so long, I think people are kind of scared of what he has to say and how he'll sound. So I can understand that sentiment.
It better be a damn good voice actor though, because Breath of the Wild has god awful voice acting, man.
Oh my days! I thought Zelda's voice actress was transgender for the longest time because I was like, why does her voice sound like this? I thought she was putting on a voice. But then I looked it up, and the voice actress just has a far deeper voice than the voice she's trying to do for Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the problem. She's just not used to doing that voice. But I'm like, is this a man? I was concerned.
Yeah, it's god awful too, and I think a lot of people, or a lot of Americans rather, a lot of Americans are kind of dumb, and like if they hear a British accent, they immediately assume it's good. So a lot of people didn't even realize that she was such an amateur's voice
Oh, it was
actress.
terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I was the only one that felt that way because I brought it up on a stream once. And everyone was just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's just me then.
Yeah, Americans have almost a fetishistic predilection for British accents. They're really dumb about it. Like, you have these absolute morons, like, and I mean true midwits who must be maxing out at IQs of 98, but they have British accents, and so America just throws them on as the host of talk show like John Oliver. I think like these guys are just plain old dumb. No offense, and they kill it in the ratings because they got that British accent. Americans think they're smart. It's probably the biggest indictment of America is how easily we are captivated by that. I'll never understand it.
Yeah, it's it's a bit sad, but I thought maybe they'd change it for Tears of the Kingdom, but no, they didn't.
Yeah, I was hoping for that too. I can't believe they retained her. I couldn't believe that, man. And it kills me because it's like they just hired cheap amateur actresses and actors. Like meanwhile, the Kid Icarus game on the 3DS, they hired actual actors, and the voice acting was predictably fantastic.
Yeah, it was cheap. Her IMDb had like 3 credits.
Exactly. That's why they did it. It was just cheap.
Wow. See, but that's Nintendo for you, which is why I don't really like Nintendo as a company because I feel like they've gotten away with being far too cheap for too long, but they have such a monopoly on the market because they basically are video games. I think I don't remember what video I said it in. I think it was the Switch is not powerful enough for games, but if your grandmother knows a video game character, she knows Mario.
Yeah.
And if she talks about your gaming console, she's gonna call it a Nintendo because that's what they think all video games are. So I think they have that much of a corner on the market that they basically can do whatever they want right now, and no one's gonna be able to do anything about it or say anything about it.
That's fair completely. That's fair completely. Before I respond to that real quick, Realm of Darkside, that will be a documentary actually. Young Cornstar, thank you. I would love that opportunity to voice Spectre. Surtur says a lot of Americans only know one British accent, and I wanted to ask you, you don't have to answer it at all, of course, but we actually do have a surprising number of British fans on this channel. Like my OG mod Ghost is British. I was just curious, what part of the United Kingdom are you from, if I may ask? Please don't reveal anything you're not comfortable.
Yeah, so I was born in Liverpool, but I was raised in Kensington. So, and then on and off between that and New York, so my accent got really muddied between the north of England, the south of England, and then New York City. So it's a bit of a amalgamation of all three of those areas. But I spent most of my time between Kensington and New York City. Our Surtur says he's Scouse too. So, but he probably has a strong Scouse accent if he was born, unless he wasn't raised there.
It sounds like it to me, but I'm definitely no expert on British accents. I voice chatted with him a lot. We'd have to get you in. And by the way, if you ever want to join the server, that'll always be a home for you. You're always welcome to join. What did I want to say? Oh yeah, the Nintendo thing. Sorry to cut back to the other thing. That was a really interesting topic you mentioned. The idea of Nintendo having the market corner. That is interesting, though. I don't think they're as infallible as a lot of people think they are. Because like if you look at their life cycle and their sales of their consoles, basically when the GameCube came out, it looked like Nintendo was going to fold in terms of first party production the same way Sega did. Like people just stopped buying Nintendo. They were getting their asses destroyed by Sony, and each console sold less than the previous console, despite there being more gamers, and they saved their asses with the Wii. They really did. Like I could definitely see them messing up the next console, especially if they do the Wii U. They mess up the same way they did with the Wii U. So I could see them folding and falling. So I never kind of saw them as infallible like that. I can definitely see where you're coming from in terms of that name recognition, but I don't know. It's an interesting topic because I think a lot of the old schoolers recognize Sonic too, and obviously Sega has long departed first-party consoles. I don't know. What do you think of that argument?
No, that's an extremely valid point. Now that you bring that up, because the Wii U was abysmal for them, and that did tank them a whole lot, and they were saved by the Switch being as good, or at least as positively received as it was. So that's extremely valid. And Sega has been consistently behind a console generation in terms of system capabilities, because the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are a whole generation ahead of the Nintendo Switch in terms of power and capabilities and all that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't. The thing is with them is it feels like they always have a life raft. It feels like they are the Titanic, but they have 100 Titanics waiting back at dock. So if they hit an iceberg like the Wii U, they hop on an ice raft and just wait for the other ship to pull up, and they hop right back on that, and that's the Nintendo Switch. So if the next thing crashes, it seems they always have a way of saving themselves because say the Switch has a huge issue in the next year, they can just release some bullshit Pokemon game and make $1 billion.
That's true.
Um, so it feels like it's because of their brand recognition, they have the capability of making so much money so quickly that they'll never really be close to failing. Like the fact that most Pokemon games are remakes and no one complains about that is extremely strange to me. Because I don't think any company can get away with remaking games as often as Nintendo does. Like Mario Kart 8, I think is the exact same port as the Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, and they just re-released it on the Switch and charge full price for it. And they get away with that kind of stuff. But I think it also stems from the fact that, parents are buying these things. So if you, as a parent, get off work and your kid likes games, are you going to go get the new GTA or are you going to get the Mario and put it in front of him and move on with your day? It's probably going to be the Mario. So they have so many lifelines that I think it's hard for them to fall off.
Yeah, no, that is an excellent point. And it seems like any game that's more mature on Nintendo, like for example, for the entire lifetime of Smash Brothers, it was rated T, and but then for Smash Ultimate, they wanted to increase sales as much as possible, so they made it E. And you have a lot of things that I guess most non-losers wouldn't care about, but I certainly do. You have things like Samus having her bust reduced, things like literally changing the characters that
Yeah,
and obviously there's other oddities like Snake doesn't have any of his guns, even though Joker does, and all this stupidity. Just so that they could corner that E for everyone market. That is a really good point. Like you think of Microsoft and you think of their flagship franchise is Hero, or not Hero, Halo, obviously, and that's a rated M series. You think of those cross-platform games like GTA. Those are obviously rated M series, and they just don't have that kid appeal. That is a great point. Definitely
yeah,
a monopoly on the kid appeal.
yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I can't think of one major franchise for Sony or Microsoft that is below T. Like The Last of Us, that's M. God of War, that's M. Halo, that's M. Fable, that's M. The Elder Scrolls series, I think those are all T. I think the only E game they have is like Gran Turismo and Forza, and those are mainly adults playing those things.
Hmm.
So I think since Nintendo has such a large monopoly on the kid market, yeah, they really are. But I mean, you also never know because Toys R Us had a monopoly on the kid market and they fucking failed.
That's
So
true.
you never know.
That's a great point too. I mean, I think toys were kind of destined to fail. I don't know. I don't know. Even growing up, I never wanted to buy toys. So like, I always thought it was weird that there was a big, massive store dedicated to, just shipping kids with shit. I always thought it was destined to fail because like every generation has been poorer than the last generation, and parents don't want to buy their kid, fucking a $500 Barbie doll anymore. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that was the evolution of technology that caused it to fail. Because I remember when I was growing up, my father he was super strict as a disciplinarian, so I never really had a bunch of toys, which is why I'm a loser now and I buy everything, a whole bunch of toys. I mean, my room is covered in figurines.
is it?
Yeah, well, my office is I keep my bedroom regular because that's where women go. But I always wanted, to when I grew up, get my kid toys whenever I had one. But then it closed down. So I don't know if it's just technology evolving, that cause toys to not be as desirable for children anymore.
Yeah, it's a. Did you cut out by the way?
I'm
Oh no,
still
you're good.
here.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. My audio just fucked up. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I also think I don't know. I always viewed toys and shit like I mean they're basically like decorations. It's not like a game that you can get hours of time playing with. So I always felt like they were destined to fail. Like a game is more analogous to a book in my opinion, and like books have been
Right.
enduring since the dawn of man. Like I forget what author it was. I think it was actually in the original Hunchback of Notre Dame that said, the Gutenberg, the press replaced what architecture was. Like humans used to bond via architecture, and that's why the pyramids endured the way they did, and that's why pretty much every culture had pyramids. Um,
Right.
but then once the press was made, then books brought people together, and then of course technology supplanted books. Like even now, you can just read PDFs. But I apologize. Now I'm getting really nerdy and lame.
No, no. I saw someone post EDP's name, which brought to mind a topic I wanted to ask you, because I know as an intellectual you'd have a nuanced take on it. So it's gonna sound very strange as a topic, but the question was, do you think that pedophilia as a mental condition should be more normalized so that we could prevent further tragedies in the future and treat people who may have this mental issue? Because I saw this interesting take on it where someone said, "What if like people with those kind of inclinations could come out and say, I have a problem, I need help, and get therapeutic help and get put in hospital and away from a situation where they could potentially harm a child." Whereas now, no one can come out and say that because you'd be immediately vilified. Someone may try to kill you, or you may end up offending. Someone who may have those inclinations may end up actually causing harm to a child because they couldn't come out and say it and get help, and so they eventually went through on those inclinations. Do you think we should take steps to try to treat those people, or should we keep them as dredges of society and you keep those thoughts to yourself and hide it?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of nuances to that question. I would say, in general, the whole what you just described for someone who's a pedo like that, that act of coming out publicly, like being able to get help and coming out publicly about it. I think those are two different things. Um, I think, in general, over the totality of human history, like especially when religion was predominant, people have always been deviant, right? But
Mhm.
there has always been some force, perhaps a fear of God, uh, that forced them to act normal, that forced them to behave normal. So, like, it's probable that, for example, the majority of pedos, the majority of fucking zoophiles and all that shit, for the entirety of human history, never actually acted on their urges because they had a predominant religious force in their life, whether it be, well, I guess actually, if you go really far back, like I'm talking about Abrahamic religion specifically, like at least like since the dawn of Christianity, because obviously there's some other nuances in Judaism, like for example, the rituals that they do upon a newborn kid that might actually. I'm not going to go there. Sorry, but
Right.
what I'm saying is, looks like I disconnected and reconnected. Sorry to you guys if I got knocked out there. I think stigmatizing is very powerful and very necessary because if even one more person doesn't act upon their pedophilic urge because of stigma, then that means that overwhelming stigma was worth it. Um, because the unfortunate thing is that pedophilia and things of this nature have victims in all circumstances. Even if, like, the only time in which it doesn't uh, have a victim is if they're solely relegating their desires to the realm of fiction, like fucking, lolicon or books or things of that nature. But
Right.
even mere consumption of pornography, I see guys like Vosh arguing all the time. Well, child pornography, once it's already produced, it no longer has a victim. And it's like, well, no, actually, you're visually consuming the body of a child who was statutorily raped. That's why it's illegal, Vosh. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think the stigma is worth it, but I mean, I do think it's important that I do think it's also worth exploring the that I don't know, they have a therapist to go to perhaps help them deal with that which they probably couldn't talk about with anyone else, including their parents.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but because I rambled and got cut off by OBS there, but I don't know. What's your opinion? I think the easy answer is to just be like, yeah, kill them all, and the visceral part of me wants to answer that way. But what's your opinion, my
Right.
friend?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me scroll up in the chat. Someone said it. Jib said it. Personally, always felt that perpetrators were often victims. I think, yeah, because it stems, that also is a huge factor in it. I have a friend I'm close to whose wife is a primary school teacher, and she had a student come to her and say, "Hey, one of the other students has been at recess touching me inappropriately," and so like they had to open up an investigation. They talked to him. They got evidence. And when they brought it to the parents were like, "I don't know where that came from." And then the parents of the victim in that situation said, a really bad parent, because they said, "Oh, I don't want him to get his friend in trouble." And it's like, well, no, it's not his friend. It's a predator. But when I heard that, I'm like, well, there's absolutely two victims in that situation. The one who's being touched inappropriately at school, and the perpetrator. I'm like, that child didn't do that out of nowhere. Someone has to be doing that to that child, or has
Right.
to have done that to that child. So it's a perpetual cycle. Now that the victim, he wasn't sleeping. He was having nightmares about it happening to him. That child could eventually become a perpetrator
Mm-hmm.
because of what happened to him. So my ideology on life is, how do we do the least amount of harm? And my concern is, if we continue to shun them, in the sense that people who haven't offended yet but may have these inclinations to do so, or they know it's wrong. I saw I don't know if it might have been Vice, where a guy was like, "Oh, I'm an ethical pedophile." I don't know, something like that, where he's like, "Oh, I don't offend it, but I know what I am and I know what I like." The people who have those inclinations, if they are meant to feel like they can't come out, then they will absolutely offend, and we will be doing more harm, because a victim becomes a perpetrator more often than not. So I'd like that for a lot of things. I'd like the ability for people to get help for a lot of mental conditions, body dysmorphia, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, all sorts of things that I think could lead to further harm, because you have these crazy people shooting up schools and homes and malls and all kinds of nonsense. So I'd like to cause the least amount of harm in the future. So if that means temporarily telling people, "Hey, if you feel like this, we have services for you. Come talk to someone before you do something," then I'm okay with that. But of course, I'm not saying like we should give them an out, like, okay, it's okay to feel like this. No, it's, you have a problem. Come talk to us before you do something, so we can try to work out how to fix you. So that's how I feel about it. Because, children are the best of us, because they're our future and unlimited potential. So I'd hate for someone to have potential and not be decimated by someone with a problem, acting out on an urge.
That's fair. That's fair. Uh, there were a couple of things that I would object to, actually. The first part where you mentioned, that the perpetrator, and I'm really sorry about what happened to your friend's kids. Uh, Saying that the perpetrator had to learn it from somewhere. I'm not sure that's always true. I'm not sure that's always true. I think a lot of people, for example, there's antisocial personality disorders. Like, a lot of people, I don't know, they just discover their dick at 4 years old, or I don't know, they just get bored and I don't know, perhaps they watch a piece of fiction or the TV's accidentally left on and they get imprinted or affected by it, and that's how they discover it. But there's definitely a lot of people who don't have an excuse. They don't have a Freudian excuse. Like I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I look at on this channel, for example, Isabella Janke. She was a woman born to deeply loving parents who didn't abuse her in any way. Very rich parents. Like she had pretty much everything handed to her in the world, and she turned out a sadist by the time before she was even old enough to smoke or drink or vote. And
Right.
I don't know. It often seems like deviance, sadism, and other forms of negatively affecting someone can outgrow from absolutely nothing, and perhaps just because it's human nature. Like one of the interesting arguments that Christians make a lot that I like is as a human, you don't have to learn how to eat, you don't have to learn how to drink because we're born with these biological urges. But one of the things you do have to learn is how to be good, how to be a good person. I don't think it's human nature to naturally be a good person. So like I'm not sure every instance of a child being sadistic or a child being a sexual predator or a sexual perpetrator in that case always has a Freudian excuse behind it.
Right.
The other thing that I would raise to you is that I'm not sure being able to publicly come out about it and being able to privately and easily seek help are necessarily the same things, because like you mentioned that Vice article, I remember that too. They eventually deleted it when they got dogpiled for it, but it's like, what does that article really accomplish? Does that really accomplish others feeling comfortable about coming forward to a mental health professional to seek help, or is it really just that dude wanting to celebrate and like everyone else who gets an article written about them, suck his own dick for what he what he's got going on? Like
Right.
pretty much everyone wants attention. Everyone's a fucking narcissist in some way, and like whenever there's that's why people act like victims so much today. Like you see like people on the right side that are always talking about like victimhood Olympics, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that want to feel like victims and want to feel like heroes. And that guy, in saying I'm a non-offending pedophile, well, guess what? That article pretty much did nothing except both make him feel like a victim for being born with his pedo shit and make him feel like a hero for not acting on it. And it's like, did it really help any other pedo privately seek out help, or did it just make them feel more comfortable and make them think they're more normal? I don't know. Those would be my objections to what you just said, but I completely understand where you're coming from. Completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point. That could have just been, a pat on the back for him to say, "Hey, look, I haven't done it. I'm a good guy." So yeah, no, absolutely. I can agree with some of your objections to that. I think it's a nuanced situation with so many moving parts that I think our best bet was something that you did say before. Because a lot of modern morality, quote unquote, did stem from Abrahamic religions. A lot of the things we believe to not be wrong or to be wrong or right did stem from, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet, all these things. So as a society, it is our responsibility to have a certain baseline of things we tell people is okay or is not okay, and hope that that is enough to force people to act accordingly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Yeah, like I really do think that there is some value in things, whether it be organized religion or just having strict parents, keeping you on the right path, even if it's for the wrong reason. Like even if the only reason you're not acting on a disgusting urge that you might have is because you either fear God is going to send you to hell for it, or you fear that your parent is going to beat the shit out of you for it. Like at the end of your life, it won't matter if you're, for example, that guy who wrote that article about himself. If you go your 75 years and die without ever having offended upon a child, then good. It doesn't matter for what reason. as long as you didn't do it. I don't know if I really worded that right, but I think especially with issues like this in particular, the value of mitigating even a handful of cases is worth the stigmatization, if the public
Right.
stigmatization. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I can agree.
Ghost says most people are selfish for the sheer fact it's easier to think about yourself than everyone else. I agree with that, Ghost. I think I don't know how you feel about this, well, right? But I think it's a lot of people have difficulty with empathizing with others and being able to insert themselves into other shoes to, kind of imagine what it's like in another person's
Oh
shoes.
yeah. I mean, empathy is a huge problem in our modern society, where people feel if I have it, you should too. Um, like they don't understand how people's situations may differ, but I think that may stem from because my father was he was a wealthier person, but my mother wasn't, and so they were divorced. So I lived between them. She was when I lived with her, I lived in New York, and I lived with him. I lived in London. So I saw both sides of the coin of poverty and wealth, and I think it's being poor, even if it was just for when I was with one parent, helped me paint the world in a different way and understand, and I think become more empathetic, which is, an ideology a lot of people hold where strife helps people grow and, become better people. But it's often accurate that having a tough life often makes people better and more empathetic to other people's situations. So I think that's an issue that a lot of people have, just a lack of empathy for other people. It's frustrating to me because I try my best to be empathetic to other people because I'm well off. I have a great job. I live in a nice area. I have a nice home. I buy whatever I want whenever I want to. But that doesn't mean that can't change. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway is a huge company, but it can become insolvent. It could collapse all of a sudden because of a couple of bad investments, and then I could lose a lot of things. So my life can change in a moment. So I understand that a lot of people's lives have changed in moments, and I'm empathetic to everyone's situation.
I hear that, and I agree with you completely. By the way, about I honestly do think that there is almost inherent virtue in poverty. I mean, I think there's inherent virtue in frugality and being self-sacrificial, and being poor forces you to be those things. I grew up dirt poor as shit too, obviously in Brooklyn, New York, and uh, even now that I do have money and I do have things, like I'm an extremely careful and frugal person with everything. Like I hate waste. I hate wasting. Uh,
Right.
like even the pants I wear right now, like they're ripped and sewn together by by a lovely person in another room, and I I
Lovely person.
no, I apologies. I don't want anyone to get doxxed or harassed. But I do think there's also. I mean, by the way, what you said fascinated me about the fact that when you were with your father, you were basically in a rich environment with your mother in a poor environment. So I do want to ask you more about that. But before that, um, I think one thing that you and I can definitely agree on, you and your experience in New York, is that if you don't have perhaps the sheer intelligence quotient for it, a lot of people who grow up poor, they don't get a virtue out of it. They like just embellish in ignorance. Like the moment they do get money, they do the stupidest shit with it. Like that's why most lottery winners wind up poor once again, and they lose it all within a year or two. And I see it all the time, even with celebrities who have a nearly endless amount of income. I see Floyd Mayweather Jr., who is literally the most lucrative boxer in history, and he's doing stupid shit with his money at all times. Like he's making these Instagram posts where he takes pallets of cash out of his car and onto a trolley just to flex the money. And it's like, you idiot! Why is that money not in your bank right now?
Right.
Ayo Coffee Sama says, "Look at Gotcha Gamers, Don." That's a great point. Like people spending Any money, any amount of money on gacha is stupid. I've never spent a dime on that shit, and I never will.
Right.
Like I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but I feel like a lot of the people that grew up poor, especially that I saw in Brooklyn, and maybe that you saw in New York too in your formative years. I don't know. I feel like a lot of them just, even if they had money, they do ignorant shit with it, like jewelry, shoes. The obsession with shoes blows my mind. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. It's no Mayweather aggravates me, but I think most celebrities have this weird obsession with opulence and things that don't make sense. Because I like nice things, right? That's why I got a nice house, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I have a nice car. Um, but no amount of money in the world, I can have $1 trillion tomorrow, and I'm not gonna just have it out like he does. I mean, he just has it in the car. What are you doing? Like, what is that? What does that achieve? Just having it out, or just throwing it on the floor, in his home, and posting Instagram posts. You're an adult man. No, like, what are you? You're far too old, and you've been in this business too long to continue this kind of ignorant behavior. So yeah, Floyd is especially is a special case with his wealth, but a lot of poorer people who don't they don't learn from their strife, and that's a problem
Mm-hmm.
because once you get out, you don't want to go back in. And my father, he paid for a lot of things. He paid for Columbia and all that, and I'm extremely grateful for that. But I learned a lot more from my mother in terms of getting through poverty. So once I got out on my own and I started making money, I knew I will never ever not have it because I'm not going to allow myself to not have it. So I've consistently put myself in situations where I'm going to continue to have it because what am I going to do with a bunch of diamonds on a watch?
Exactly.
I use a watch to tell time. I don't need to put a bunch of rocks on it to prove to other people that I have it because it doesn't matter. You don't need to know that I have it. I don't need to prove to you that I have it. I have it, and that's all that's important. So seeing people do that, and especially with shoes, I bought my first pair of Jordans ever in 2021. But I bought them because I play basketball a lot. That's my cardio. I do it twice a week for cardio. And
Nice.
I bought them for basketball, and I put them on, and they were the most uncomfortable things ever. So like, well, these are terrible basketball shoes. And I asked someone about them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, don't wear those to play basketball. You just wear those to go around." I'm like, why would I do that? They're basketball shoes. You telling me? So it blew my mind because I realized all these years people were buying these just for no reason, not
Mm-hmm.
to do this sport with them. So yeah, I threw them away, and I bought some Adidas, and I've only worn them ever since. But yeah, when I had that realization that wow, I watch people wait outside in insane queues, at Flight Club in New York, or 125th Street in Harlem. I don't know if you've been
Oh, I've been in
wrapped
Harlem.
around
Yeah.
the block,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for trainers, and they're just wearing them because what? Because
The
it
flex.
just yeah, it's the silliest thing in the world.
Yeah, dude. So much to unpack with what you just said. I couldn't agree more. I do think, like you just said, it's worth spending money where you use it. Like you said, you're well off now, so you spend almost all of us. We spend almost all of our time in our house. So if you spend money on a nice house, that's a good use of your money. You should spend it on the house. Me, I'm sitting in this chair looking either working on the computer or looking at anime boobs all day. So that's why I bought a big gamer chair. That's so much more expensive than I ever thought I would buy as a kid. It's you spend it where you use it. We have to
Right.
use the toilet every day, so I bought a bidet so I don't have to shit in the shower like someone. You know what I mean? I think we broke Volt.
I completely forgot about that. Why does he fucking do that?
It's disgusting, bro.
Oh my god. He could just buy him a day, but
I know. They're $20 off Amazon.
he gets in the shower on all fours and twerks and lets the shower hose touch his asshole. Oh my goodness.
Shit's nasty. Shit's nasty.
Yeah.
Apologies for that. But you're so right, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think I would say this too, regarding the point you just made. I think it seems like if there's any constant, regardless of what income class you're in, it's that, like, ignorant people are going to be ignorant with their money and do stupid shit with their money, no matter how much money they have. Like, it's not just that the poor want to look like they have money, so that's why they buy those stupid gold chains or they buy Jordans to not even use in basketball. It's just like, there are dudes around me at my income level now that are still wasting money on shoes. Like, I know a dude that makes damn near six figures, and he's and he's living and eating like shit, but he's got a massive collection of Jordans. It's like, what's the point, man? What's the point? I don't know. I could definitely go on forever about it. I could go on forever about it. But I completely agree with what you said about it's virtuous to use your money for utility. Spend your money where you use it. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, I have a friend of a friend. He's a doctor with his own private practice. But he leases a new car every couple of months. And it's the dumbest thing in the world. He has like four new leases every couple of months. And he's just constantly making payments.
Wait, does he switch cars or does he have the multiple leases?
He switches them out every couple of
Okay.
months. So he constantly has in his home four cars, but he will switch the lease out like every couple of months.
Goodness.
So yeah, so he's constantly making payments, and he's a friend of a friend, so I couldn't speak to him directly. But I was like, that's absurd because personally, I can't make payments on something I'm not going to have when I'm done making payments on it. Like a home, you have a mortgage. At the end of it, I own my home.
Mm-hmm.
A car, if I'm financing a car, at the end of my finance term, I own that car. Leasing a bunch of new cars, and then in 2 years, you spend $25,000, and now they have that car back, and you don't own it. You just burned $25,000. But he makes an absurd amount of money. But I'm like, you're just wasting it. It's so wasteful. But yeah, you're going to be ignorant no matter what. No matter how much money you have, if you're ignorant, you're going to be ignorant.
I could not agree more, man. I could not agree more. I wish we got Parj in the chat. We got Parj in the chat. Parj, thank you, Black Mario. I'll read your message once he says stop. Oh no, someone deleted it before I could. Thank you for that, though. I saw something about being a bald biscuit. I appreciate that, Parj.
I saw that his name was Salo Don't Troll.
God bless that, man. Thank you, Parj. I'm glad to see you're alive again, because I got an email saying that Parj died by choking to death on cum, and it broke my heart, but also made me happy that you died doing what you love most, Parj.
Oh man.
God bless that, man. God bless that, man. I think he got offended because we were talking about money, and he's like, he would definitely, if he had money, he'd be, buying the Jordans, and he'd be wearing a Jordan on his head like a hat, like that, and he'd be thinking it's supposed to be that way. That's Parj.
I'm sorry we offended you. We don't mean to. It's just conversation. Oh man, yeah, no, yeah, Jordan's. Oof, people with those kinds of shoe collections, such a substantial waste of money. I think I own currently. I have two Oxfords, one boot, and two trainers for the gym. And that's it. I own like 5 pairs of shoes. That's it. I have a black pair of Oxfords. I have a brown pair of Oxfords. They go with any suit, and that's all I need. They're kept clean and in a good condition.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm pretty much the same way. And well, they don't really have them in New York, the store that I go to, but I love to get my clothes at TJ Maxx and Ross, like these stores that basically, like, they sell things that They sell the surplus from like the last season, so like you get them like fucking 50% off or 60% off, 70% off. It's crazy, um, but that's where I get all my shoes. Because the thing about shoes is they wear out, but you need good shoes because you walk on them. So hard to balance. But
Yeah.
sorry, not now I'm going in on shoes. I apologize. I'm not even a guy like that. Maybe I'm the ignorant one. But so may I ask more about what it was like bouncing back and forth between the UK and New York growing up in terms of literally countries apart, and that's what separated both of your parents.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for me bouncing back. I hate flying, so that was the biggest issue. Because for all the things I know in this world, I still hit a little bit of turbulence, and I'm like, we're crashing. Like the plane's going down, I'm gonna die, and that's it. So I hate flying so much. But I have this weird issue where if I don't have any control over the situation, I get really, really uncomfortable.
Oh wow.
So I don't like to fly. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like go on any amusement park rides. But I love driving. I will drive anywhere, any distance, any amount of time. Because I'm like, it's under my own power. So if something happens, it's either my fault or it's a freak accident. Because I'm a careful driver. I keep my head on a swivel. I've avoided being rear-ended multiple times by just looking in my rearview mirror and switching lanes because the person wasn't looking. So I'm a lot more comfortable driving, but flying was the biggest issue for me. Switching schools was also a thing that was pretty bothersome because it was typically a year on, a year off. So just the curriculum and transferring credits and all sorts of nonsense was always super annoying. Figuring out which classes transferred and which classes I had to retake. I've taken history more times than I can count because they're like, well, you didn't learn this, so you had to take the class again. So that was also bothersome. But besides that, I was never too chuffed about it. It was a pretty fine situation.
That's interesting. It sounds like you almost take like that psychologically you almost take this idea that you need to have both the control and the responsibility for the situation to the extreme. That's psychologically that's interesting alone. I've never really met someone who had that kind of predilection. Not that I know anything deep about you, but I've never really met someone who needed the responsibility to be their own that harshly. That's interesting, really interesting. You mentioned getting rear-ended. You wound me, my friend. Just I shared it in my server, and I wasn't gonna share it publicly, but I don't know. It's been on my mind. But just last Monday, I got rear-ended by someone probably gonna have my car totaled. It sucks ass.
Oh,
And
jeez, that must have been a hard hit.
oh yeah, yeah. That shook me up something good. But what happened was the dude from the other lane drove into my lane. I braked and avoided getting killed by that guy, and then by braking so hard, the guy behind me wound up hitting me, and it insane. It's just been an insane week.
Yeah, no, I understand. Damn. Yeah, rear ends are frustrating. I've been rear-ended once in my life.
How'd you take that?
So I was on a date.
Given your personality. Oh, you were on a date.
Yeah, so that's that was my mistake. So I was talking to her at the time. So I wasn't, my usual I have to look everywhere self. So we were talking, and we hear no brakes, and then all of a sudden I bite my tongue, and I realize, oh, I was just jolted forward. So I get out, and the guy's slurring, and he's like, I wasn't supposed to be driving. I was like, fucking great. So yeah, he was beyond drunk. But his insurance took responsibility for it pretty quickly. And the damage was minimal, thank goodness. But yeah, the one time I'm not looking around is when it happened.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad you took it well too. I mean emotionally, psychologically, because like based on what you were saying, it was interesting to me. Like how would you respond to how do you respond when shit out of your control goes wrong? You know, but it feels like over here at least shit out of your control always goes wrong. So I'm sure you've had to deal with it millions of times in your life, and you've you know I don't know, I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not psychoanalyzing you. I'm just interested in how you think about those things.
Yeah, no, those things. The I've reserved myself to. There was a flowchart I saw, where it was an interesting flowchart where like it was a stress chart, I think, where it's like, oh, is it a problem? Can you do something to solve it? Yes, no, then don't worry about it, or then worry about it. That's how I take things that are completely out of my control. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It was a pretty common flowchart. But yeah, that's how I take those things. If there's nothing I can do, and I will look for anything that can be done, but if there's absolutely nothing I can do to solve a situation, I just ignore it.
I respect that a lot. It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. It's hard as shit to do that, I think. It's very
Yeah.
respectable. What are some questions? Oh, Ghost asked, what's insurance saying about Ghost? I mean, I'm definitely not at fault, but the question is whether or not I'm going to lose my car, and I really don't want to because I just paid it off 6 months ago, bought it for about like 26K, and I don't know, they're probably, maybe they'll give me 20K. Who knows in this market, man? Like 26K went a much longer distance just 5 years ago here in
Right.
America. But it's all right, buddy. You don't have to worry about it. I appreciate that. Um, what else? What else was I asking? So, oh yeah, Nukinator made a hilarious comment. He said that Vault is afraid of Final Destination situations. Basically, I do think that would be your nightmare based on what you were saying.
Oh my days, absolutely. When I hear about like insane tragedies like that, I get so I don't know if it's anxious or just angry. But it bothers me so much. You'll see those compilations on Twitter sometimes where it's just people living their lives and a tire comes across 6 lanes of the road and hits them in the face.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff bothers me because like, well, you couldn't have done anything. It just happened. Or like a random piece of ice on the side of a building will fall on someone's head, and they were just walking down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I am definitely freaked out about Final Destination esque situations happening to me.
I respect that, man. It to me, I practically expect that shit. Like, as soon as I paid off my car, for example, like we were just talking about, I was pretty much joking to everyone around me, but not joking, pretty much being serious that yeah, I'm probably gonna lose the car. Someone's gonna hit me in traffic, and I'm gonna lose the car. And sure enough, that's what happened within half a year. That shit just always happens. It's like even the things we think we're certain about, my friend, they're all just dice rolls with really high probabilities. Like every time we go to work, it's a gamble of our life when we're driving in traffic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know. I just expect the snake eyes, honestly, and I'm just grateful when it doesn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're going. Yeah, absolutely. That guy says lively logo shows up in your peripheral vision. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Is I don't want to end up on lively for the silliest accident. Um, but yeah, no, that's something that and it doesn't typically occur to me until I'm home, quote unquote, safe, because anything could happen. Something random could happen at home.
Yes.
But yeah, that stuff is it's funny to think about.
Yeah, I got two carbon monoxide detectors in each room just because I'm that type of dude.
Yeah, my house burned down when I was a kid, and I
Okay.
was in it, and I was asleep the entire time.
Wow.
And my mother had to run in to wake me up while the firefighters were trying to, get everything sorted out. So that was lucky.
God bless. So, and that was with your mother too, so that was an even rougher situation, right? Like she can't, like, obviously she's in tougher financial straits. God bless you, man.
Yeah, no, they were trying to stop her from going in, and she's like, no, my kids are in there. It was me and my two younger brothers were in there. So she ran in and woke us up, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like the building's on fire. So it isn't in New York, so it was an entire apartment building
Yeah.
that was on fire.
God damn.
Yeah, so that was the situation, but it didn't really bother me because I was still half asleep the entire time, like walking out and like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but okay.
I'm really glad you guys all got out all right. God damn. Like when you were
Yeah,
saying that, I was like, I wonder if this is like where the psychological origin of like your your need for that responsibility and control in each situation came from. But you
Yes.
were like, nah, I was fine.
No, yeah, that was fine to me. I wonder when I developed that need for control.
Crimson asked me if I've talked about the arrested video. Yeah, I wasn't arrested, and no, I did not commit vehicular homicide, despite what that weirdo said. It's
I
funny. I
said
get
you
into
were
a car
arrested.
crash right after someone makes a video saying I got arrested for vehicular homicide, but no.
It's such a random thing to claim too. That's so specific.
You know what, man? I honestly think those guys, like the cucking weirdos, I honestly think they just miss me when I'm not around. I really do. Like Parj, he was probably crying and shit.
They do. They honestly do. I think there's a weird dichotomy of loving Dale, but also loving detractors. Because
Yes.
to this day, I'll get cucking at weirdos in my streams. Like, yo, you're a bitch. LTG's better than you. And I'm like, I haven't spoken about him in 2 years. Like, why are you bothering me? I don't understand it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I think you will for the rest of your life. You'll just have one weirdo. They miss you. They miss you. They miss you more than the fans miss you. They really do.
Yeah,
That's just funny.
it's a bit odd, but maybe I mean perhaps it's yeah a symbiotic relationship for them. They love Dale, but they don't love when Dale's boring, so they love the people that rile Dale up, so they want us to rile them up.
I think that's a fantastic point. I think that's a fantastic point. Dale is extremely boring on his own, and he, honest to God, he needs the trolls. He needs the trolls more than any lolcow I've ever seen. He needs them. But
Absolutely, yeah. No, I've had people because when he got banned, there was I was interacting with a lot of people around that time. But I've had people like send me his current streams and things. I'm like, what am I looking at? I'm looking at an adult man talk about young women on stream and
yeah,
pH balances for an hour and a half. This is entertainment to you? No, thank you.
no, it I'm not even trying to insult him, but as a content creator, he's dog shit. He's really dog shit. Like he's not interesting at all. And
That's the absurd thing to me. A lot of his detractors, KingSlyTee, are actual, and I know you guys don't like the term, good content creators for the most part. Your live streams, your chess video, sorry, is one of my favorite videos. KingSlyTee on his live stream, he's energetic, he interacts with chat, he's great at it. Are actual good content creators. So when I see the cult following he's achieved, I'm often baffled at how someone can sit there and enjoy it. I don't get what the attraction is.
well, one, thank you. That's incredibly kind, especially coming from you, man. I appreciate that a lot. And two, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's just the fascination with a quote unquote villain, even though he's a villain for the wrong reasons, not the right reasons. It's not like he has something intellectual to say that others can't just accept. It's just that he's a weirdo predator who got his infamy by calling 14-year-old kids faggot on live stream. Like
Right.
uh, and I don't know. I think his days on Twitch are numbered, and I mean they're always numbered. He always gets banned, unbanned, banned, unbanned. So I don't even pay attention to whether he's banned there or not. And I think he should have stuck with Kick. He should have stuck with Kick because I did some good work for him, modding for him on Kick, and he should have been more.
I did see he said he got modded and you were just banning people left and right
Yeah,
on his extreme.
I'm just silently deleting messages, silently banning people, and people were like, "Yo, what is this bot doing? Why is your live bot doing this?" And they never figured it out. It was like a good month, I think, a good month of just doing that, and that's pretty much why he came to hate Kick. God bless him. Sorry about that, deal.
That's hilarious. I love that. His fans are getting banned left and right. That's amazing to me.
Vealstick, yeah, we talked about it actually in the live stream where we wished Asia Flames and Hindian well. But yeah, no, I tricked Dale into giving me Kick modship and fucked his shit up. But that's old news. Um, what else? What else? Questions did people have? I saw Parj joining again. Thank you, Parj. Uh, a lot of people asking how Vault Rep's doing. He's doing great, man. He's honestly killing it, and everyone should if you are a fan of the Vault, you should be following Vault on his new channel, his new ventures. Some of the old ventures, a lot of the new ventures. Some of the old topic material, a lot of the new topic material. You guys should definitely follow him. He does his live streams too. He just unlists them afterward, and those are always a good ride. Like if you know what's funny about that, you might not believe it, but I'd say guys like if I had to rank like how I even watch new games, because I barely play video games myself anymore, I'd say the first person that I watch play new games is Darkside Phil, and then you're probably number two. And it's like without you guys, like I probably never see new games in action actually.
Oh wow, that means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I mean it. I watched you play Yakuza 0. I think the one that's like a JRPG, but it's also weird. And I remember your playthrough was a lot more enjoyable than DSP's, because DSP just gets uncomfortable with any attractive female character ever since he got married. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. Yakuza 0 is a great game. I need to get back to that. I really do enjoy that game.
Crimson S, so the channel Vault Rep 3.0 is not him. No, the only archive that he has endorsed is the one that's pinned. I don't know what Vault Rep 3.0 is.
There's a Vault Rep 3.0. I didn't even know that. But yeah, that's not me. What? I could have sworn I saw a question. Oh, what's my favorite troll video I made? Is that Max asking that?
Yes.
Oh, my favorite video. Actually, let me pull up the archive. What is my favorite video? It might honestly be the low tier god will never ever be an actor ever in his life. I think that was the intent. I think that was the title. Only because that was the video that pissed him off the most.
Yeah, and that's the one that that creepy reading wound up using in his video too. Definitely your magnum opus, perhaps. I remember.
Yeah, there it is. Low tier god will never become an actor in his entire life.
I remember. I think I remember one of the earlier videos you did. And I'm not even going to ask about it, not publicly whatsoever, because obviously it's important to your identity and important to keep you safe. But I remember I can't even remember what the subject matter was, but your voice was a lot different in it, and you were laughing your ass off at something that Dale fucked up. And you were just so genuinely enjoying it, and that was definitely my favorite video that you did. I can't remember what it was. I really fucking can't remember, but I just remember you were laughing your ass off, and your voice was a lot more high-pitched. But
it might have been one of the earlier
It was
ones.
super early, yeah. Because I remember you, like, from when you first came on the scene. Like, I've always been around in, like, comments and shit. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not a content creator, because, like, I prefer watching other people's shit.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I think it was one of the earlier ones.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just remember
Yeah,
you were
Roxy
like
Bell's
dying the entire stream, the entire video that you did. And I can't remember what it was. I just remember you laughing your ass off.
Yeah. Nah, that was a fun time. So let me ask you, when did you first become aware of him?
Oh, Dale. Actually, like back in, I'd say like 2014, 2015. The first time we ever, I shouldn't say we, but at the time it was my friend who showed me his streams. I remember Ray Lazarus was literally the only moderator. Unlike the chats now, like where he basically has banned all the haters, and now he has a sufficient number of followers that the chat is really sucking up to him. Like the chat was always 100% hate against him. Like the 2014, 2015 days, like everyone was just constantly making fun of him. Yeah. It was before the Boogie roast, actually. It was before the Boogie roast, and I remember like Ray Lazarus was his only moderator, and what happened was my friend and I we just kept he made a comment, I think, saying like he said that he could suck a dick without being gay because that's how straight it is. That's how straight he is. Yeah, this is super old and it's lost to the annals of history, unfortunately. But yeah, he said that, and so my friend and I think what happened was I innocuously asked. Wasn't innocuous. I was starting shit, but I asked him, on one of my old accounts, I was like, "Can you suck my dick without being gay?" Then like, can I get a free blowjob? And then he banned me. So then my friend started fucking with him. He banned my friend. So we just kept coming back and innocently, asking him about, like what types of dicks he likes to suck and things of that nature. Yeah, this is super old, Jib. This is like 2014, 2015. So unfortunately, I doubt any if it ever, I would pay money if anyone ever had that live stream. But yeah, that's how I first discovered him. And then it was like a month later he made the Boogie video. But this was still when he was. This was the first Twitch adventure. Like this was when he loved making real videos on YouTube that weren't just Twitch highlights. And you know, Twitch was his primary bread and butter to try to become famous. It
Right.
was a long time ago.
That's hilarious. I could suck a dick without being gay. Oh,
I would
man.
kill to have that live stream, man. It was on Twitch though, and there's not a chance in hell anyone archived it. But I would kill for it if anyone had it. Those were the good old days, man. Back when Ray Lazarus was the only mod. Those were the good old days.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been a year and a day ago.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. How about you? How did you discover this pariah that brought us all together?
Oh, so the first time I saw anything involving him was a Cat video titled "The Brilliant Fighting Game Community." So then that had the classic Viscount clip in it, and then I just moved on, and then somehow my algorithm recommended the old channel Low Tier Animation, tier spelled Tear, and I started watching his content. And the entire time I thought this guy's hilarious. He's a character because I believed that he was putting on a show. And then the more I watched, I realized, oh no, this is like the mask never slips. This is just who he is as an individual. So then I continued watching, and I'd watched all the classic troll channels back then. Low tier animation, low tier bitch. That guy was insane. Greed, sick, a whole bunch of people who don't do it anymore. But then I realized or saw that no one was making commentary on some of the things he was saying. And it's like I thought the whole time, like someone should call him out. Like a lot of this stuff is stupid. Like I'm like I don't think this level of stupidity should go unpunished. Someone should talk about it. And it bothered me long enough for me to eventually say, you know what, I'll do it. I'll talk about it. And I didn't even know there was a larger detractor community at the time. So I made the breakdown of his 10K subscribers, and then I made this he's a simp video because I hated the fact that he would pretend to be, this huge red pill alpha or whatever he wants to call himself. And then I made the second simp video, and that's when someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have a Discord, and join up." And that's when I joined the wider community at that time.
I was always surprised when I was actually surprised when there was a Discord about him or a Discord hating on him or like the low tier goons or whatever it was called at the time. Because his Kiwi Farms thread was always small. It's still small relative to people like him, and I think honestly that's kind of part of because like Kiwi Farms, like it's such for the large part, it's pretty diverse, but it's also I'd say like 80% white, and they definitely like white Lolcows more than black Lolcows and other forms of Lolcows.
Right.
That's why like they have a whole board about DSP, and like I feel like DSP is relatively boring. Like he's addicted to a gacha and he's a man child, and I feel like that could all be in one thread. But like
Yeah.
people, it that's what always interested me, my friend. People always hate like the DSP community is like 10 times or 100 times bigger than the anti-Dale community, and it's like in terms of actual evil shit they've done, I would definitely say Dale is worse than Phil. I don't know. What do you think
Yeah.
of that?
No, absolutely. I've had people come to the stream and ask, who's the worst, lolcow, and they'll say between Wings, DSP, and Dale. And every single time I told them the other two don't even compare to how terrible Dale is. At the time, Wings, I'm like, Wings, he's just a sorry slop, and DSP is a lot of the same. He just doesn't have the morbid obesity to go with it. And they're just losers. A lot of the time, the people that are poking at DSP and Wings are more often than not, just being cruel to a bunch of losers who don't have a lot going for them. Dale is the only person who deserves the kind of ire that he's attracted because he's a piece of shit. Like, he's a genuine piece of shit. So when I see DSP troll channels, this is how you don't play, yada yada yada, with 100K views and subscribers, I'm always baffled. I'm like, why do they dislike DSP this much? I haven't seen anything that led me to believe that he deserves the amount of ire that he's attracted, but I don't know if Dale's intimidating to these people, so they don't want to go against him. I'm not sure what it is.
A lot of them definitely look up to him as a replacement father figure, but I think even more than that, I think one of the interesting things is that Wings and DSP, they were like, people don't remember this nowadays. Like, some of these trolls are younger than their YouTube careers, but like back in the day, Wings and DSP were beloved figures. Dale was never a beloved figure. Everyone hated Dale the moment he got on the scene. They went from beloved to hated, and Dale kind of was always hated. So now he has a fan base of people who like a villain. So that's interesting, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, that could be what it stems from. I mean, yeah, I mean, Dale is an e-beggar as well, and a closet bisexual man who has a lot of anger because he can't bring his boyfriends on stream.
God
But
bless.
I just want him to live his truth. I just want better for him.
Amen. Amen. Said Viscount made Dale. That's true. Yeah, Viscount made Dale's career. So he literally got started with people hating on him. He literally got started with it. That's a great point.
Yeah, wasn't that his attempt to try to get big? He just picked fights with people. He made fun of Boogie at the time. He went after Viscount. He made fun of Brawly Legs. He went after Guilty. And then who's the other one? Just anyone with any amount of notoriety.
Yep. Yep. Truly, I think you're probably thinking of Zero Blast, maybe, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, and that's why it's always funny when he complains about anyone, be it me or be it an outsider or whatever. Like, anyone who's attacking him is just doing so for attention. But anytime he's ever talks about Boogie, Viscount, whatever, Alex Myers, Cyril Glass, yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. Even now, when he's reacting to these 20-year-olds like Gideon and whatnot, that's okay. It's okay when he does it. It's not okay for other people to talk about him, though.
Oh
Everything.
yeah. No, yeah, he's a super hypocrite. And it's even in his chats. He'll let people make fun of any mod, all day long. But as soon as they say anything that he takes, the slightest offense to, it's go ahead and get him out of my chat. That person needs to be banned. They hurt my feelings. You guys can hurt anyone's feelings but my own. And his fan base is so stupid. Like, if you use two brain cells, you'll see that this person, he's extremely weak and sensitive, and everything he says contradicts the beliefs that he holds. He says he's this alpha who rejects sexuality, and he just focuses on making money. But then put a woman in front of him, and now he's going to spend 30 minutes on stream talking about all her features and does her vagina smell good, and I wonder if she'll pee on me. And it's like, you can't be the same things. What is the book of the book of James say? A fountain cannot spew forth salt water and fresh water at the same time. That's a Dale, but I don't know how they can't see it.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Forgive me. I just wanted to pull up something. I saw Parj jumped in the chat again. I don't know why he's so angry at us for wishing him well. But I just, Parj, I'm sorry, dude. That was the email I got. I censored the sender out of it, but because I didn't want you to go after him. But that was the email I got, man. I'm sorry, dude. Someone told me you died. Someone told me you choked on cum. That's all I know.
Oh my god. I love how the person also typed it in the weirdest syntax. Everything else in the sentence is not capitalized, but cum is. It's so
Yes.
strange.
It was probably Parj. Parj probably sent this shit to me. Looking for sympathy and shit. God bless that man. God bless him.
Oh man,
I
he's a
also,
clown.
I have to talk about this. I didn't want to bore you with it, but I think you'd be interested in it. Do you remember our good friend Justin Cordova, aka High Tier Gucci Dabs?
Oh, that weirdo? Yeah, I remember that guy.
Well, I unfortunately, so he's been beefing with some Covenant weirdo who I consider a pedophile because he once made a comment saying that 12-year-old girls are ready, named Gamil. And they've just been going off on each other, off on each other, off on each other. And Gamil tries to ingratiate himself with me, and he tries to like be my friend and shit, and it never works. But so like they beefed hard. Sorry about that. They beefed hardcore on his stream. Like he's calling Justin's phone with soundboards and shit like this. Um, and it seems, according to what Gamil sent me an email, it seems like Gamil harassed Justin's place of work. Justin was a real estate, kind of a token job, like just a job to say he has a job. But Justin was a
Okay.
real estate agent, and he got fired from his real
Oh,
estate agent.
jeez. Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks, and I wanted to express sympathy to Justin. And in fact, Justin was one of the people who I never responded to him, but he streamed for months, just coming at me and all this shit. God bless him. I hope it made him happy. Uh, but he was one of the people kind of laughing and celebrating once the Covenant started going after my job, and he was like, calling me a bitch for even caring about it and shit like that. And so I'm not rubbing it in whatsoever, Justin, but I am saying you should always be careful about gloating when other people are going through anything of any nature, actually, because you never know when the shoe is going to be on the other foot. You never know when when what they're going through is going to be what you're going through. And I truly wish you
Yeah.
well, Justin. Part of the evidence Gamil sent me was so he sends me a million emails. This Gamil weirdo, he fucking sends me a million weirdo messages, and I never understand what the fuck half of them are about. But he sent me Justin's profile archived on his real estate site, and it's like his glowing place of residence and all this shit. And now apparently they deleted everything and like deleted him from their site, and I'm like, holy shit, this Camille weirdo might have actually gotten Justin fired. I never. And I'm like, I sincerely feel bad for you, Justin, if that did happen. I hope it didn't. I sincerely hope it didn't, and I wish you the best. I sincerely wish you the best.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's that's pretty intense. If he went after him with that kind of fervor to get him fired from his realtor job. But I mean, Gucci Dab was also making himself too much of a target. He would come on stream just challenging everyone and, looking for that sort of attention. And I think when you have something to lose like that, you don't want that kind of negative attention. Um, so, unfortunate, but you reap what you sow.
I agree. I agree. I think one of the things about Mr. Cordova is that very much obsessed, kind of like we were discussing earlier, very much an ignorant type of person obsessed with flexing money. Uh, and I think when you combine that with this whole, I'm a gangster, I'm going to kill you type of shit, eventually you kind of get a weirdo like Gamil, who kind of Gamil is probably sexually attracted to Justin or some shit. I don't know, or maybe you got a Parj. I know Parj wanted to kill Justin too. It's like you kind of reap what you sow, Justin. And I really hope things go better for you in the future, man. No one deserves to have their place of residence harassed for the silly stuff on stream. So God bless you, Justin Cordova. I know you're watching because I know you're a fan. God bless you.
Yeah, hopefully, things turn around for him. I'm not sure how real estate works as a employee. I don't know if it's transferable skills, and you can just get picked up by another, firm. But hopefully, someone gives you an opportunity and you can get back to flexing money on live streams. I
I
want that for you.
I agree. I think the money is all his parents' money, so I think he'll be just fine. I think the job was just to say he had a job. Probably his dad being like, son, you need to get the fuck out of the house someday. And he's like, okay, I'll be, I'll get a
Okay,
real estate
pal.
license. Yeah. God bless you, Justin. God bless you from the bottom of my heart. Um,
Yeah.
what else is there? I swear I had more questions for you, but I think I even Googled questions to ask on a date before our interview just to have interesting.
What's that chart? What is it called? There's like that date thing where if you're on a date, ask these questions, and it's an acronym.
I can't say I'm aware of it.
What is it? Ford method. That's what it is. The Ford method.
Ah,
Ford method. What's it stand for? I think it's family, occupation. Um, yeah, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Oh, that's a perfect one. Dreams. Now that I'm on a
dreams.
date with Dawn. What is your 'cause I know you said I know you're an engineer. What is your end game? Like, if you could be making the amount of money you're making now, but you're doing the job that you want to do, what is that job?
Uh, any job. I mean, I I'm pretty satisfied with my current job. It's more than I deserve. I think my job right now is more than I deserve for sure, and I can't complain about it whatsoever. Um, I do aspire to be completely retired one day, though. I'd love to retire as soon as possible. I think because I mean I'd love to have a family too, and I think one of the things that sucks about the West that I could go on forever about is that after women's suffrage, now it's like both parents have to work. You need two parents working just to support a family. I would love to keep piling up my money, keep piling up my investments insofar as like by the time I have a kid, I could spend most of his childhood being present with him.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I'd love to just do well enough and retire early and spend as much time as possible, perhaps raising a kid. If a kid doesn't come along, then I don't know. Maybe just pursue my dream of writing bad fiction like my sister. Who knows? How about you?
Yeah, no, the dream has been since I can remember, to be an author one day. I've already written, a few books,
Have
and
you?
I'm just, yeah, I'm working on a series. I kind of want to finish the series and then either self-publish or submit it to a publisher. But that's always been the dream, to one day be an author. But as time passes and print starts to die and people become far less interested in literature, that dream becomes far less feasible.
Mm.
But it's still something I want to do, even if it's not financially the viable. I still have a good job, so if it's just to see a book that I've written on a shelf somewhere in a store is has been a dream for a while.
Would you write it pseudonymously or with your real name?
Oh, I'd write it with my real name, yeah, for sure.
God bless. I hope it. I'm really looking forward to you completing and self-publishing or getting published by someone else. I, we'll keep it a secret between us if it does happen, though, and we won't dox you. But
Oh yeah,
if and when it does happen, I look forward to reading it.
absolutely, yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah, fucking Parj.
This
God bless
guy.
him. I love it. I love it when he calls. I love it when he compliments himself. That's my favorite shit.
How, lo- how, how easy? I wonder. Do you think he had these profiles set up beforehand, or
No,
every
no,
time he gets
no,
mad,
no.
he makes a new one?
He's definitely making a new one because it takes him about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's definitely like him fucking around on his phone, like trying to figure out.
I can't imagine it. He's just sitting there all day in the street making a new profile.
He's a fan. I gotta thank you, Parsh. Thank you because you make me feel loved, and I appreciate that. P8 in
Oh,
uh,
man.
Nukaniter says wanting a family is unfortunately something people no longer strive for, and P8 in says is that a bad thing? I think it is. I think we should all aspire to. I mean, is there anything more animalistic, more human, more natural than wanting to see your genes survive your death. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, family is everything. I have a tattoo that says "family is everything" in Latin, so I can
Okay.
pretend that it's cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, family is absolutely everything, and I think everyone should strive to have a family. Because I'm not sure if you've seen this. It was a sermon called "It All Goes Back in the Box." If you haven't, it's a great one to listen to. But it speaks about what's valuable in our lives and what matters and how materialism and materialistic things that we may enjoy can only go so far. Because at the end of the day, and as I've gotten older, I've started to realize it. I don't really look back at my youth or teenage years or even before then and think, damn, I'm really happy I got Pokemon Emerald on the DS. I look more to, damn, I enjoyed spending that time at the museum with my brothers or things like that. The memories we have with our loved ones are always going to be more valuable than anything.
I agree completely. I agree completely. I haven't watched that sermon, but I'm definitely going to after our stream. Uh, but I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more that you can't take anything with you. You can't take anything
Yeah,
with you, so you might as well do well, do good to others, and hope to leave a legacy that survives you, whether that's through family or through good deeds. I think we should
yeah.
all aspire for that.
We Parj goons.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They
Well,
say, who's my favorite LTG troll? I don't watch LTG troll content anymore. But when I did, my favorite ones were Joshua Cornstar was always great. He always got a laugh out of me. I think Revolver Theory was another great one that I liked. And these are people I've spoken to afterwards. They're also cool individuals outside of that. Who else was great? Oh, Chronicle Studios, but I think Chronicle Studios more. He's a friend more as an individual now, so I may be conflating the two. I can't really remember. That was an age ago. Are there even trolls anymore? Is everyone dead now?
no, no, Joshua Cornstar and I say Revolver Theory, and like they definitely do things daily, and then you got Slayer who he'll do one big thing, uh, like maybe once a year or so. Like everyone's still around. No, definitely not dead IRL, but the only people that are no longer around are the people that left a really long time ago. Like like low tier bitch that you mentioned earlier. No one ever got under his
Yeah.
skin like that, but
Low tier bitch. I think low tier bitch was the first person to like start posting his family members, wasn't he? Low tier bitch was insane. And it'd be community posts too. It'd just be his mother in a community post randomly. And I was like, okay, perhaps we've gone too far here. I think that's what got him ultimately banned. It'd just be community posts with like his father or his mother or sister. And that'd be the entire post, nothing else.
one can only imagine with that guy. And speaking of, well, a few last questions I wanted to ask you. I saw recently someone posted a picture of Dale's residence, right? Um, a lot
Mm,
of people are saying, nah, you've gone too far, this and that. It wasn't me, by the way. But as someone who has actually been to that apartment complex and, toured it for potentially renting out a place myself, I would have to raise that personally. I'm not sure that that's going too far. In fact, I'll say outright, I don't think that's going too far because it's an apartment complex. Like,
yeah.
not only does the gentleman not own it, but it's like anyone who has permission to be there has a right to take a picture of that. Only the landlord, which is not Dell, could really say otherwise. It's very much public. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I want to ask your opinion. Like, do you think that's going too far? Oh, look, there's low tier vault rep 3.0 in the chat.
Oh yeah. No, I don't think it's too far. And here's why I don't think it's too far. Imagine anything like imagine all of that stuff. If Dale had access to have people do that to any of his detractors, he would, and he would do more. So I don't, and he would probably do worse if he had someone who was insane enough to track down a detractor and cause harm to him. Dale would encourage it. Dale's is a terrible person. So for him to be on the receiving side of those things, and it's not like they broke into his house and peed on
Exactly.
his monitors. They took a picture of the outside of his residence, and it's an apartment complex, one which is a public area. It's the outside of a building in Lancaster, California. I mean, what are you gonna do about that? If that's too much, the Google streetcar is too much. People take pictures of things all the time.
I agree completely, especially as someone who has been doxxed by Dell's fans and like they still make videos about my residence and my work and shit like that. Like it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out one way or another, and it's like if you have any presence, especially a presence as big as that, like someone's gonna want to rent your next door apartment. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, didn't people take pictures of his license plate parked outside when he worked at GMC?
Oh yeah, and I
Um,
have a replica of his license plate. Definitely a replica.
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not surprised by it. I'm more surprised that more hasn't happened. That someone hasn't just gone up to him in person, because I'm sure he's easy to find. I'm sure if you spend a couple days in Lancaster, and you go to, the LGBTQ nudie place
Yeah.
or Walmart, you'll find him.
Agreed. Agreed. I actually did one of the few times I was in Lancaster, and before I was known, I asked him. I ran into him and I asked him if he was a content creator, and he said no. He said no and walked away. Yeah,
No,
this was
really?
yeah, this was a couple of years ago. This was a couple of years ago, and he seemed like he. And I wasn't gonna bother him. I'm not trying to bother him. I acted like I didn't know. I was just like, hey man, are you a content creator? And he said no. He said no. This was like 2 years ago. No, more than 2 years ago. This was when I toured the apartment complex.
Really? Now that's insane. He said no.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't know. Maybe it's because I was like acting like I didn't know him. I don't know. Maybe that offended him. I don't know.
Right.
God bless him. God bless him. But it was really interesting, and I wish I recorded it. I wish I recorded it.
That reminds me of an old clip. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It was him in real life around somebody who asked him to do the boogie roast in real life, and he was extremely nervous around like actual individuals. And I think that's what's super so amusing about him. The fame he wants and the notoriety he wants, he couldn't handle it because he's inherently an unlikable person, an unentertaining person, and an uncaptivating person. So if he got put in the limelight like he wants, it would be detrimental to his mental health. He'd collapse in a month.
I agree completely. I think probably the worst thing he could ever do would actually be land that acting role because he has no talent for it whatsoever, and he would be mercilessly raked over the coals. Even the amount of money he got for it, like it would kill him. And that's why he won't box either. That's why he won't box either. He can't take the losses. Can't take feeling like he's down. But
Oh yeah.
look to Vault Rep asked. He already answered that question. Vault Rep 3.0. But I hear you, dog. I
Oh
think
yeah. He's going. He's going off.
God bless, God bless. I got one of them in my lap right now. I got Igor in my lap right now. But I think that's a. I think that's about it in terms of questions I have. We've been going about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or even just plug before we go off?
No, that was it. That was a good conversation. That was fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Truly, I'm glad we finally got to do it. We've been talking about it for a while. We've been talking about a few channels. I think anyone who's a fan of the Vault, go take a look at the new channel. Go subscribe. Maybe you could bother him to play Fallout 4 live. One of my favorites. But
do you enjoy Fallout 4? I swear no one likes it.
So yeah, the story is definitely a massive downgrade from Fallout 1, 2, and even from New Vegas, which like the writing is poor. Honestly, I enjoyed the world building. I'm not gonna lie, the world building and the fact that it was the East Coast and not a desert. You know, the fact that there was green. That actually, it was the first Fallout game. Maybe Fallout 3, but I didn't play 3. That was really green actually, and I think that really made a difference. I don't know why, but it made a massive difference for me.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know.
No. Yeah. I love Fallout 4, but so many people don't like it, and I understand the story. Wasn't as strong, but I think the lore beats were still there. I had a lot of fun exploring, a lot of the areas. Getting lore from the computers was as great as ever. So I enjoyed it.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'd love to watch you play it sometime, my friend. Everyone, give Vault a listen. Igor is reacting to Vault's dog in my headphones. That's how good his hearing is.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm like, what are you picking up? And then I realized, oh, he's hearing the dog barking. Impressive little boy. That's about it for us. Thank you again, Vault. I enjoyed this conversation. Oh, Nukinator asking about apple bottom jeans.
I'm gonna ignore that.
Good night. It is about 8 p.m. or so, 9 p.m. over there. So I'll let you get some sleep, buddy. I hope you have a good week.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Likewise.